behind it all. Teeth clenched tight with silver braces. Rehearse my shame, rehearse my faces. You say I'm fine, I'm not alone. The world outside proves me wrong. No sideways looks my swan song. I talk like I'm above the mess. Sleepwalk through my emptiness. Every promise that I can't feels borrowed, bent and delicate. Mirror, mirror, break your spell. You don't even know me well. Your cruelty is honesty, and I'm addicted to what I see. Mirror, mirror, bleed me clean. Show me what I've never seen. A devil tired of damnation. Angels born with salvation. I wear my sorrow like a joke. Drink it slow so I don't choke. Everybody looks annoyed, but ain't nobody want this void. Mirror, mirror, bleed me dry. Mirror, mirror, let me cry. Say I'm wrong, say I'm weak. I pray the Lord my soul will seek. If I should die before tonight, pyre, pyre, burning bright. I asked for help, I got the screen. Static feeling so obscene. Mirror, mirror, who's watching who? Mirror, mirror on the wall, I never learned to stand that tall. If this is me, then let me crawl. Just don't say I had it all. Mirror, 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 mirror on the wall. Mirror, 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 mirror on the
And good morning, Best Chat. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, hello, hello. Another episode of delicious morning nonsense chat. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Hope you had a fantastic Monday, a wonderful Tuesday, and another wonderful Wednesday. Hello to you, chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see you, chat. All right. Let's get started, chat. We've got a lot of stuff, more stuff to go over today. But here's the thing, though, chat. Here's the thing. I'll remind you during the stream, but extra videos today, extra videos, and extra video. So you can, basically, today's extra videos, 2 for the price of 1. Because if we do unlock the extra videos today, I have a couple things to go over and in comparison. So it should be pretty fun. I think it'll be pretty fun. It's like a whole nother segment of the show if we get the extra videos done. So it's more than one extra video today. We'll just but it's like more bang for your buck today. So it should be pretty fun. All right, Chad. Carlos Batista says, good morning, Aldine. Best Chad. Good morning to you, Carlos Batista. Hello to you, hello to you. Dr. Gibson says, what kind of fool? Fool doesn't believe an Overton window exists. Aristocrat utensil, apparently. Also, Toph deserves better than being the town bicycle. Oh, yeah, because she has, like, several different, children by different fathers. Like, come on. Like, who made that? You know that definitely, if this was a woman thing, because it was like the women writers would be like, okay, well, yeah, Toph was it's complicated, so she started sleeping around with a bunch of she's a girl boss, so she starts sleeping around with a bunch of dudes. Or a guy would be like, Toph went out and picked her favorite guy and then married him. Like this, I'm pretty sure that most of the male writers who really like their time on Avatar and like the characters would not make any of them, a loser's whore, and would not make Sokka a weirdo who like just vanished on the face of the earth, I guess. Let's see. They should have everyone be happy. I don't see why they wouldn't. But it's a woman thing. You could tell it's these SJW activist feminist types of women that kind of came in there and started writing the Avatar characters to emphasize drama and sorrow and anger. You know, the more emotional conflict, social conflict, things like that. And they're proud of it too. They bragged about it. And so you can translate that. We should check out Benny the Kid's channel. He does Avatar and Naruto skits videos here in the link. Check it out. It sounds pretty cool. Limpic says, good morning, LD in chat. It's Wednesday, my dude. Certainly is, certainly is. Hello to you, Tablespoon3 says, good morning. Good morning. Hello to you, Tablespoon3. Jeremy Trunuk says, good morning, all. Rip Dolly Parton. It is true. Archie passed away. Now, I was tempted very tempted to play Country Boner as the beginning of the song. First of all, it's copywritten. Second of all, it might have been, I was like, that might be in bad taste. That might be in bad taste. However, I would send the link that song to some of my friends. R.I.P. Dolly Parton. Here's Country Boner. I'm sharing Country Boner, the song, in solidarity. Insane. That's a bomb says, morning, folks. Hollywood wants men to be losers, then complain about men being losers. Yeah, there's like they've been teaching men to be losers and like this, you're losers, you suck. And then wait a minute, how come all these men are losers? Why can't women find suitable mates anymore? That's been the article. That's been article after article after article on the news. Like they want men to be losers. They say they make all the husbands losers. They discriminate against men actively and openly and everywhere possible in favor of women. And it's tough, and there's a lot of pressure on men to do pretty much everything, from be a provider to just be an emotionless husk, and to that just is okay with everything, despite the fact that his pride is destroyed like a with a metaphorical sledgehammer every single day. Like that's why all these men are like checking out. Like what's there to fight for anymore? You fight really hard to get places that you're discriminated against, to maybe get a job that pays you nothing, and you can barely make rent, let alone start entertaining people, or entertaining dates or whatever. You'll never own a home. That's kind of the whole thing. There's so little chance you can own a home now. Everything's just so weird, and so the economy is so like shattered and everything. All that stuff, and then for what? What do you get? What do you get after all that hard work? You get a woman that just treats you like a wallet, and then if you stand up for yourself or have any sort of self-respect, you are a insecure, controlling, toxic weird. Like why? Like at this point, the whole goal, the traditional goal of a man, that translated to today, is to work really hard, go work endless hours, sleepless nights to barely make a living, all to get a girlfriend or wife that will leave you at the drop of a hat and will just chastise you. Basically, you're kind of working for extra problems at this point. So that's probably why, and if you've seen by TikTok, and with all this stuff going on, that's pretty much what they see. And so you wonder why all these men are checking out, becoming losers, not going to college anymore, not getting jobs anymore, like that whole thing. And it's kind of like staying home and playing video games. Like what's the point? What's the reward at the end of all that work? It used to be you can have a house, you can have a wife, you can have some kids, you can have a pretty good life. But now it's like you don't get any of that. You work extra hard, you work harder now, and what do you get in return? Nothing. You get judged, you get tried, you get destroyed on social media, you get dragged through the mud, you get half your stuff taken away. get betrayed, because that's what Hollywood is doing. One of two things: it's telling you that a man is a loser, that your pride should never ever matter, that you don't matter, that your feelings don't matter, that your wants and desires don't matter. You shouldn't want a wife that's dedicated to you. You shouldn't want a wife that is loyal to you. You shouldn't want to have any self-respect for yourself. You work and make money only for the family. Your needs do not matter, and if you think your needs matter as a man, then you are insecure and commanding or controlling. That's there's been a big uproar. One thing the manosphere did manage to unveil is that if a man has standards, um, if a man has self-respect, then that is considered a problem. That is considered insecurity. And then on the other hand, the second thing Hollywood is doing is going, "You go, girl. You manifest. You're a girl boss. You can beat up all these guys. No man is is worthy of you. And if he doesn't like you in any way because of your girl boss attitude, he's insecure and an immature man, and you dodge a bullet, and that sort of thing. Go get what you want." Despite the fact that the standards are so incredibly high in the wrong way. The standards have been laid out as for superficial things instead of, the, is he a good person? Is he a good provider? Is he loyal? Will he protect you? Will he take a bullet for you? That sort of thing. And when we see, and it's not just me saying that stuff. Everyone has been talking about it. Like people realize, we saw some women talk about this, how they realized that like a lot of shows and stories and everything has kind of been about, it's okay to cheat on your husband. It's okay to follow your dreams regardless of what men might feel or anyone's pride or anything like that. It's just all about you without any notion of self-sacrifice. Meanwhile, stories for men have always been all about self-sacrifice. Like you put your needs below everyone else's because you need to be the one to step up and be strong. You need to put aside your own personal beliefs, maybe not beliefs, but your own goals and everything and ambitions. And do you think the guy wants to face the dragon? Like initially, no one wants to face the dragon, right? But he puts aside his own safety, his own everything, and his own desires, his own lusts, to save the princess, to slay that dragon, and save the princess, because that's part of it's part of facing your flaws. Like, why else would you want to face your flaws, or face your conquer your temptations, if there's nothing better waiting for you? Like that's the whole thing. Like I can submit to my temptations, and it'll be much easier and much better. Or you can overcome your temptations and be rewarded with something much greater in the end because you overcame that. But if you are struggling and going through all this hell, and the reward for overcoming your temptation is not even close to the reward of succumbing to your temptation, then why not play video games all day? That's kind of the whole thing. It's all in Hollywood. Again, what do you get as a man for marrying this Hollywood's ideal version? We'll say Hollywood's ideal version of a woman. You get nothing. And the Hollywood is saying that men are losers, and they are especially losers if they expect something in return for their hard work. Right? That's kind of what the Hollywood version of what a man should be is, and the Hollywood version of what a woman should be. And a Hollywood version of woman is a no-nonsense girl boss who should have no guilt about trading up at any moment and looking for Mr. Chad. But when the reality is, what happens when they do that? They all complain about that men are toxic, selfish, and self-centered, arrogant assholes. Oh yeah, who you've been dating? Oh yeah, the top 1% of men who are like millionaires and CEOs. But the thing is, you know how you get there. You know how you can become a CEO or something. You have to be ruthless. You have to be ruthless. You have to be conniving. You have to be willing to do things that might be considered underhanded. So you're wondering. So they walk away wondering how come all men are assholes? But no, you've been only dating you've been only seeking these complete chads who don't really need a woman in their life. They have a ton of money, tons of houses, whatever it is. They have everything life has to offer. They only really need there's no incentive for them to dedicate their entirety of their lives to one woman, especially if when the risks are so high that you could just steal half your stuff in divorce. Like, why would they do that? These guys, I say that because these CEOs and everything, they got there because they're very savvy, right? A lot of times they're very savvy in one way or another, and they're probably all going to know that why would I marry this woman who wants me for my money? Because if I marry her, she's just going to divorce me and take half my stuff. That's probably like a high probability. So why would they do that? Why would these savvy men do that? So that's why it's like, oh well, men just seek out pretty people, pretty women. Well, here's the thing: it doesn't matter because what you're looking for is a good mate for you, right? And that's a part of that is a good person's. With most traditional thing in the world is that this man who goes through hell to gain his skills, to gain his knowledge, to overcome his flaws, to overcome his temptations, to slay the dragon, all for this one woman. And that's the guy that is going to be loyal. That's the guy that's going to be a worthy person for your attention and love. And that's been like the most the most traditional story. Zelda, the series Zelda has made an entire franchise out of the same story, but it's always fun to see because Link is the guy. Like, he's a complete Chad. He's awesome. He's completely loyal. He's a really good guy. Like, he always fights to free Zelda and things like that. So I mean, yeah. So to bring it back to the point, Hollywood has spent a long time saying that it's okay telling women that it's okay to cheat, it's okay to follow your ambitions, to hold no accountability for yourself for any promises that you've made, and then at the same time telling men that they're losers, like giving men a crossroads. One, you can have self-respect and be seen as a loser and a controlling freak, or you can surrender your pride, embrace the fact that you are just treated as an automaton that shouldn't have any desires, emotions, or self-respect, and be treated as not a winner, but acceptable. And I mean, like, the kind of guy that should be okay with his wife cheating on him. Like, should be okay with disloyalty, be okay with being cast off at a moment's notice. Be okay with all of that. Like Lon was in The Notebook. That's what it should be. That's what a man should be, according to Hollywood. And if you're not all of those things, and also a guy that earns 6 figures a year, you are a loser, right? That's kind of what it is. So either you have pride and self-respect, and you don't want to be, and you have respect for your own desires and everything. You don't want to be kept up and treated like a wallet or whatever. Then okay, you're a loser. You're a freak show. You're an incel. But on the other hand, if you want to be accepted, then you shouldn't have a real man wouldn't care about anything. They would literally say a real man would have his wife cheat on him, and then he would go self-reflect of what he did wrong and why he pushed her away. That's literally what you have to deal with. And so men are seeing these options being placed before them, and people are wondering, why are men just checking out society? It's a mystery. But yeah, again, it's the Hollywood version of an ideal woman, which a lot of people have taken up, and the Hollywood version of the ideal man, which a lot of men have been forced to contend with. You paint men as losers. You tell men have been losers for decades. Every father's an idiot or an abuser. Then they come out being losers. Everyone's like, oh, well, I guess that's a man. And you wonder why. I think this is based on things I've already heard about Avatar comics. I think I've dodged a bullet. I won't stop you from telling me about it and filling me in the righteous anger, though. We're going to get into it. Carl Tucker says, hi all, more useless info week. Did you know that high-class brothels were called nunneries? Proprietors were called abscesses. Once you start down the rabbit hole, there's no escape. Well, I mean, today they're called like what? Gentlemen's clubs? Yeah, we always had to kind of hide it a little bit. Had to hide a little bit. It's a Cardi Catches is more lit in Rumble Chat. White Pill Wednesday is here, and I need more coffee. Harvey Weinstein was the only thing keeping Hollywood in check. Let that sink in. Yeah, without Harvey Weinstein, it kind of started falling apart. Like this bunch of like freak shows are just kind of running the show now. And see. Comic Wiz says, good morning, everyone. I look forward to today's episode and the topic you'll be covering, including today's topic on the Avatar comics. Absolutely. Tablespoon 3's Toph has 2 babies, daddies. Aang is neglectful. Zuko is divorced. And Sokka died childless. This is definitely something that was written by women because women like the social conflict stuff. A man would have them all, a man probably would have them all end up being happy. And they almost got Samurai Jack to do that, except that they kind of pulled the rug from underneath him at the last moment, and then the fan backlash was so insane they changed the ending. That's good stuff, though. It's good stuff. They changed the ending, but like the thing is, we want the main characters to be happy. So we want Aang to be happy with Katara. We want Zuko to be happy with Mai, wink, wink, and we want Sokka to be with Suki, with Ty Lee as a side piece or something like that. So Megathon says, "Morning LD and Bez chat. Are we winning? I got 7 out of 8 normal of the new raid last night. Very cool, very cool. Congratulations. You're still doing the dice system? I remember there was like a dice system. Is that still in play? Or is it points? I know with Guild it might be points. Like, okay, you've earned this many points, so you get to priority over the items. I remember that being the case. I assume the systems have evolved over the last like 10 years. And see. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's a good system. Siege Garden says, "Good morning, LD and Best Chat. Nightfall Part 1 was good. Engage start to finish. Nightfall. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. The one written by Graham Nolan and Chuck Dixon. You mean that one? Oh, is it? Oh, wait a minute. The movie, is it out? I forgot all about that. Let's see. Agile Aardvark. Massive inflection will do that. John David God says, "Lesbian space princess successfully united every fandom into hating it. I'm here for it all." It's so woke. It feels like it's making fun of you, and they don't like that. I don't like that. It's making fun of the wokies. Like, it's how woke it is. Like High Guardian Spice, was so pro trans that it felt like it was an insult to trans people, and they took it that way. Of course, they always take it that way. So, Connie Kitchens, One Lit Dev and Best Chat. The only knowledge of the Avatar comics I have comes from Lit Dev. It's awful. Like, don't go into it. Just enjoy the original show. That's all I can say. Just enjoy the original show. The comic books are hate fiction. I mean, it's not like it's all 100% bad. There's some fun stuff in there, but it's mostly hate fiction from people who just, I guess, hate the original cast. Carter says, "If they can destroy masculine men, there will be no more to defend the takeover." Yeah, once they take down masculine men, it'll be an easy walk to take over everything. Davina Duckworth, good morning, good morning. Siege Garden says, "Can confirm, if you are stable, they will sabotage everything you built because of privilege or other nonsense out of boredom. It's about control regardless of consequence." Yeah, it's kind of what we talked about yesterday, where the fake geek girl would come in, because the fake geek girl is the girl that walks into a fandom to control it. This lying that they are fans of something. So they can, but their main goal is to control, like the weirdo people who took over the comic book industry. Now it's full of gays and women, and all the comic books suck. All the superhero comic books suck. It's kind of what happened. So they walked in and did that, and they went at first everyone was like, "Oh, hey, you like this thing? So how you like this episode or that storyline or whatever?" And they, instead of answering because they didn't know anything. They got called out for being fake geek girls. They kind of complained and went to the Linkara archetype of nerd, we'll say, and started crying to them. And of course, they all are so vulnerable to any womanly cry that they'll go, oh, they'll instantly don their white armor and go to war, regardless of the circumstance. The men must always be at fault. So they went ahead and went to war for these fake geek girls, and boom, here we are, ruined IPs. Thank you very much, the Linkara archetype. That's kind of what happened, though. They said, "Oh, they're judging us. They're making us answer questions, and they're interrogating us." Which, at face value, like, why would you lie? And there are people like that who will interrogate you. But I'm pretty sure the reality of it is that they were just asking you questions because you're claiming to be a fan, and that's what fans do to each other. Like, "Oh, you're a fan? What'd you like about this? Or how'd you like this? Or what'd you like about that episode?" And I know this because I've seen some people confess to some of this stuff, where this one girl kind of went to this D&D session with her boyfriend, and she kind of sat on the sidelines voluntarily. And she complained that she was being left out, but also said that she knew they would happily let her play, and that she wanted to play, and then they would happily let her play. But the thing that made her feel left out is because they didn't invite her in. They didn't ask her. So that's the difference there. They should have asked her. So therefore, she claimed that they were gatekeeping her. that's how we know that's not all in earnest. It's been modified. It's been a little changed up a little bit, and it's not the full truth. It's not the full truth. And there's another one. His story is from a man, I think, if I remember correctly, where it was he was playing with his group, right? And he said that he felt left out and gatekept. Why? Because they were all Doctor Who fans, and they were telling inside Doctor Who jokes, and he was not a Doctor Who fan, and he didn't understand the jokes. Therefore, he felt gatekept. So when all these people in the beginning said, "I was gatekept, I was pushed out of the room or whatever," we automatically think that some alpha nerd comic book guy trying to say, "Oh, you can't do this. You don't know. You don't have enough knowledge. How could you? How could you be a fan of this character if you never read? I don't know. This character's comic number 483. Like, how can you be a fan of Spider-Man if you don't know the Clone Saga? That sort of thing." And then, so we assume it's all that. It's the worst possible scenario. Like, oh, it's some alpha nerd guys just kind of drove you out of it. I'm so sorry. They instantly started apologizing on their behalf. All right. But in reality, it was none of that actually freaking happened. And the reason why they're upset is because no one asked them to join, or someone casually asked them, what do you think about this, or what do you like about this storyline, or they started telling a bunch of inside jokes that only real fans would know, and them being not a real fan had no idea. So, yeah, I don't believe in these people anymore. Not one bit. Unless you can provide actual evidence, then I assume that it's lying about this crap. And I've encountered those guys too. Like, oh, how can you do that if you're not XYZ? Now, mostly, I've encountered some nerdy stuff on that front. Like, oh, how can you be? You're not a real fan if you don't know this stuff. Yeah, in the past also, but mostly, did you know that happens in race too? You're not a real Hispanic. We get that a lot. Like, we get that gets tossed around quite a bit. Pretty sure it goes around in black circles too. Oh, you're not a real black guy. But I know for a fact that this is that happens. That goes around in Hispanic circles too. You're not a real Hispanic guy. So it's not just nerdy circles. It's also racial circles, I guess. It's kind of strange. But there you have it. Let's see. Yeah, those sabotage you. Where are we now? David Duck was, wait, did these slay the princess and marry the dragon? I mean, that is another twist on it. It was like, you know what? That's got the modern day one, right? So it's the modern day thing would be that the guy going in there and just leaving the princess behind and marrying the dragon. At this point, like, you know what? The dragon might be better. The dragon might be more easy to live with. Let's see. Vivi says California wants the white man to hate himself. Yes. Meanwhile, the current top literature of Gen Z, whether Japanese, Chinese, or not, are a genre literary called progression power fantasy. Yeah, just because men like power fantasies. It's always been a thing. Like, if you're writing for men, step one would normally be power fantasy. Like, Sherlock Holmes is a smart guy detective power fantasy. It's awesome. I like Sherlock Holmes. Awesome. Let's see here, chat. Right now. Let's see. Seed Garden says, if I still had my wealth, I could easily start business and employ people or show support to good to constructive things in family, and it was destroyed through ignorance of others. Kind of like the Gary Coleman story, where he earned all that money, but his parents spent it all. It sucks. TK Ultras, good morning, nerd chat and lit. Happy Wednesday. Hello to you, TK Ultra. Hello. So that says, a member for 42 months. Thank you very much. Minnesota Fats. Very, very generous. Let me give you one of these. Here it is. Wait, here it is. No, here it is. Ellie Woods from Legally Blonde is the ideal woman. I don't think I saw that movie. At least it's been a while since I've seen it. I don't remember any of it. But maybe. I have to look into it. See, D. Middleman says, good morning, chat and LD. Have you heard about lesbian space princesses? Yes. From what I've seen, it's bad. I mean, it's hilariously in your face, and you think it'd be a parody, but it's not. It was made in earnest. And from what I've heard, it's so bad the fandoms are united to dunk on it just this once. Yeah, it's so overtly in your face bad, and they can't really say, oh, it's the chuds or the incels this time. It's like everyone hates it. And see. Great, nice. Good morning, let's chat. I've been reading the Boys comics, and they're interesting. Yeah, the comics are really good. I like the comics. I'm on volume 10. See, that's kind of what happened to me. I started reading the first one, and like blink of an eye, I'm in volume 10. It's pretty good stuff. Like, it's, if you can take it for what it's supposed to be, which is this kind of like a fun, dunk or like immature dunk on the superhero genre. It's kind of funny and fun and just brutal violence and stuff. The show, however, took it and ran and tried to make it. It took itself way too seriously, as far as I saw. Which is Butcher's backstory. Apparently, his grandfather was a baker. Yeah, pretty fun stuff. It's pretty fun. Pretty fun. I enjoyed the comics of the boys. Let's see. Gunblade Knight says, "Warning, LD and Bezchat, praise be to Space King. It's almost here. Almost Space King time. Can't stay and listen. Gotta study for a quiz. Well, good luck to you, Gunblade Knight. Hope it goes well. Hope it goes well indeed." Let's see. This one three says, "As Gary and Mahler said, the new Nightfall thing was really good." Well, that's pretty cool. Very cool. Olympus says, "Yes, Lindsay Clancy case is a massive and easy litmus. It really kind of is. I mean, do you really want to marry a woman that is overtly supporting a woman who slaughtered her children? Like, that's an instant turn off, right? And I've seen like a lot of men kind of break up with their girlfriends or divorce their wives even, and trying to get full custody by saying, "Hey, my wife supports a child murderer in solidarity." She says she's in solidarity with a child murderer for the exact reason is murdering her children. That can't go over well in court. The judge can't honestly say that, "Oh, you might have been in favor of a woman who slaughtered her children for slaughtering her children, but you deserve to have full custody." Like, that doesn't make any sense. One says, "My guild is very casual. If you need an item and it's an item level upgrade, you can just roll." So okay, so it is the die system still, when it comes down to it. That's pretty cool. Very nice, very nice. Let's see your chat. See, Vivi says, "The only comic that has any meaning in Zuko's mother one." Yeah, because that was the big question everyone wanted to know at the end of the series, because they kind of end with it. They kind of end with that question at the end of the Avatar series, right? Where it's like, I think Iroh, if I remember correctly, Iroh comes up and says, "Your mother's still alive, Zuko." And I think they wanted to make like a movie or something, but they never did. So they made it into a comic. It was called like the Promise or something. That was the big one where that kind of really, really made the comic stand out. Like, oh my goodness, we get to see the storyline where they find his mother. I was interested, but I was like, I don't really want to read the comic. I'm pretty sure they're going to mess it up, and I'm pretty sure they did. And even the creator either because the show had no time for it, or because they intended to leave it out the content for a spin-off of what was. Yeah, it was never made though. I think they intended to make it eventually, but they never did. Let's see. Abra Man Kahim says, "I remember reading the Avatar comics the first time. I immensely regret it. Yeah, it's not great." One of the first things they do is immediately have Maya leave Zuko. After all that crap in the show, they have Maya like immediately leave Zuko for like no reason. No reason at all. It's retarded. And see, Alex Halo, Alex Halo, good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's see your chat. Siege Garden says, "Yeah, I once had to explain to a female friend of mine that her ex hadn't taken DBZ from her. She could just watch the show if she wanted, and there is no such thing as taking it back." No, you can still watch the show. Think about it as, "Oh, can add LD Quebecers all French Ontarians not real French?" Aren't they trying to secede from Canada? I know someone is. I think Alberta. I think it was Alberta. Isabel says, "Women are picking the bear and men are picking the dragon." That's just women are picking the bear and men are picking the dragon. That's kind of what's going on now. This 92 says, "You're supposed to slay the dragon, not lay the dragon." Points to the dragon monster girl. It's like, well, you should have been better than the dragon. Let's see. Let's see your chat. Morning, everyone. Hello to Ty Preston. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Gareth XL. I'm pretty sure Dispavold would love it. Dispatu would love it. Hudson Bomb says, "I would love a lot of women had CPS called on them for saying, they should at that point. You don't know. You don't know. They stand in solidarity with this woman. Like, there were some pictures with women going, 'I stand with you, me too,' that sort of thing, holding their kids. Like, that point, like, is that a threat? Because the solidarity, what other solidarity would you be setting with her on other than slaughtering of your children? It's crazy. Like, yeah, absolutely. Take those kids away from her before she kills them. And we've seen some copycat stuff going on too, in her defense. Comic Quiz, as mentioned earlier, open misandry has damaged men and women alike for the past 18 years. Not to mention, people are tired of seeing gay people everywhere in fiction. Forced diversity is cancer. Yeah, it's not like not everything needs to be gay. Not everything needs to be for gays and women. Not everything needs to be. You can have things be for men. And that's kind of what happened with a lot of these things for isekai and stuff. Like, I would say that ReZero is actually made for men. Like, it's a man story. It very much is. Including the crying in ReZero. Because when Subaru cries, he earned it. So the thing is, it's very much a manly quest. Because it's not just like your generic isekai, I'm really powerful. Subaru is weak. He's just a normal dude being thrust into another world. The only thing supernatural about him is his tenacity, like this is his endurance and stuff. Even that is pushed to the limit. But here's the thing, though. It very much is a masculine story because it's a guy who was a loser, a burnout in life, had nowhere. He had nowhere to go. Like he wasn't in school. He didn't have a job. He wasn't training. He was just laying around all day doing nothing. And I think every man has kind of been there at least once or twice in their lives, where they don't at least see an out. They don't see a purpose. They don't have a thing they want to march towards. And so, at the end of it all, he was a burnout and a loser, and not really of value to anyone at all, not even a little bit. And at the end of it, he finds purpose when he goes to this new world. He finds purpose once again, and he's able to. He wants to defend a woman that gets assigned to him. He gets assigned a girlfriend, which is like the number one thing. If you want to make a story for men, he should, unless it's a romance, he really shouldn't have to court the woman. He should just get assigned to a woman. That's kind of how it goes. Because the real interest for men is defending her and supporting her and making sure she's happy. The thing is, after that, what is it? It's about, not only is it about him encountering conflicts and trying to figure things out and trying to protect everyone and trying to make sure everyone has everything they need. It's also self-sacrifice over and over and over and over again. Not just like I endured pain. It's I endured horrific death after horrific death. And even furthermore, it takes this next, what I call the Yu Hakusho step, which is not just about being awesome. It's about confronting the reality that is your passions as a man. Because he's still a young guy and hasn't fully understood, all of his emotions and needs and desires. And yeah, they call him out on it. It's a big episode where they call him out on how selfish he's being. And like, selfish, he's like dying for these people. But yeah, but the thing is, they never asked for that. And really, at the end, Amelia is not being selfish, or she's not being like she's not being judgmental. Amelia is acting because she hates seeing Subaru in pain. And he's in pain constantly. And he's saying, "I'm doing this for you." He's like, "What are you doing? Just let me know so I can know." And he can't tell her because he's cursed, and all this stuff. And so he has to come to terms with the fact that he is being a little bit selfish. He's not really acting out of the goodness of his heart. He's claiming that he is. He's acting on that instinct and that assumption that, oh, I'm doing this all for everyone else, and there's nothing in it for me. But he has to come to terms with, yeah, there is something in it for you. That you're not doing this because you're just a good guy. You're doing this because, yeah, one, you are a good guy, and that could be part of it. But two, because you want Amelia to love you, right? It's like you want something in exchange for all this. And that part gets called on, right? If that part gets called on, and that's a very young man thing to do. But I helped you, so you get to go. You have to be my girlfriend now. It's a very young man, immature view on it, right? You as a man, a mature man knows that he has to earn the affections. He has to become worthy, and Subaru did not become worthy. And the episode where this conversation kind of happens is perfect because he was told to stay behind, decided to go and follow Amelia anyway. Then there's like some ruckus in the halls and everything, and Subaru not only broke decorum, but did a whole mess of things that just humiliated Amelia, that just destroyed any chance of her being taken seriously. And he did that. His actions were done to promote her and support her. But his selfishness was echoed through those actions because he did all those flamboyant, over the top actions so that he could defend her, so that she could see him defending her. not really to defend her. So it's kind of it's difficult to kind of like separate the two. But yeah, you can kind of see his selfishness in there. That he's not really acting on her accord or for her sake. He's acting on his sake for his desires, so that she'll see him as a man worthy of her attentions and affections. But look at the romanticized version of chivalry. Or the romanticized version of chivalry is that you as a knight, you're like a knight, a gentleman, whatever it might be, and you're helping this lady because it's the right thing to do, not necessarily because you're like, okay, I helped you, so you have to be my wife now, that sort of thing. That's like the immature version of it. And Subaru gets called out on it. Like this, you did all this crap. I didn't ask you to, go out there and defend me. I didn't go ask you to make this big show and humiliate yourself and to get into a duel and to get yourself annihilated by a master swordsman. I didn't ask you to do any of that. Like, not only is it painful to see him embarrass himself, it's painful to see him in pain. And it's also painful that his actions are damaging you as well. And he wants praise for damaging your chances of becoming queen. So Subaru he does a lot of good things. He also makes a lot of mistakes, and he gets called on it too. So ReZero is really good at exploring this masculine journey, where on one hand he wants to be a virtuous good guy, but on the other hand he does allow his selfishness to impede his judgment and to drive his actions. It's really good stuff, and I think that's why it's a cut ahead of a lot of other isekai that just like the main character is a super awesome dude and is really powerful, and it's just very two-dimensional and generic, unfortunately. But we need those kind of stories. We need those kinds of stories. Great Knight says, I have read some of the Avatar comics and read book 1 of Legend of Korra comics. I barely remember them. It's not all that great. Let's see. Shay Durags, hello to you. Welcome. Ozai told Zuko his mom is still alive. That's it. That's what it was. It's been a while. It's like, I know someone did. But yeah, they kind of end the show with that bomb, right? They end the show with that bomb, like, hey, Zuko, your mom is still alive. What? And then everyone was excited about, oh my goodness, we get to see this climactic confrontation between Zuko and his mom. We thought she was dead and all this stuff, and she's alive, turns out. And we had to read it in the comics. And of course, I'm pretty sure the comics made her awful because everything is awful. Mr. Ed says, I do hope that Lindsay Clancy's case puts a spotlight on postpartum psychosis. Well, here's the thing. It's like, okay, are you a different person with those kind of hormones flowing through? Yeah, but killing your kids is still bad. You should still be punished for it. You can't just say, well, I was really, really depressed and psychotic at the time because of my postpartum depression, and I slaughtered my children. So. But I was sad at the time. I was really sad. I was really angry at the time. That's not an excuse. You don't have to kill your kids. You could have just walked away. You could have just said, "No, this is wrong. I'm gonna go away to another part of the house or whatever, so I don't do this." Right? You don't have to do that. So at the end of the day, you still should be punished for slaughtering all your children. Probably not the best methodology. Probably not the best way to go. And people are like saying that, it's like, so can guys just say that they're horny now? It's kind of the same thing. Can a guy just say, well, I was really horny? Because, they're not the same person when you're this incredibly horny. I guess that's the case. Cardigan says, Mai literally threatened Zuko to marry her, so her abandoning him is bullshit. Yeah, exactly. Like, Mai not only kind of, was assertive in trying to get Zuko to get with her, she also like sacrificed herself for Zuko. Like she broke her friendship with Azula so that she could side with Zuko, and then spent time in jail. And you telling me that girl, that Mai, was like, you're not telling anything. You're not telling me everything. I'm going to leave you now and find another boyfriend who owns a restaurant. No, that doesn't make any sense at all. And the Promise is not good. I read it years ago and was upset at what the creative team did with the search for Zuko's mom. I heard they made her awful. Yeah, Alex Haley 2 says Dragon Maid was proved Dragon is better. I think so. That's why people liked it. You know what? We know what the dragons are nicer than the princesses now. Call of Duty say hello to you. Thanks for the $10 super chat.
Oh my god!
And see, Slay the Dragon became Lay the Dragon because of what you said, and Western dragons are hoarders, so they would love you obsessively and love treasure, so they have to. Yeah, you kind of just become like a caretaker for them. You just kind of like they hoard a lot of stuff. They just stay at home. They have sugar mama appeal. I guess they would have a lot of money too because they hoard gold as well. And see here. Shady Ricks is an annoying thing about the Avatar comics is that many after the fact fans will use them to justify takes of Legend of Korra. Yeah, I wouldn't count the comics though. That's kind of the thing. It's a show. It's primarily a show. So the comics I would say is something that's fun that are fun to read, but I don't think should be taken as canon. And of course they will, so they can justify whatever they want the world to be. Shady Rex says, despite that, almost all the comics came out during or after Korra, so of course they'd have to go back to Korra retcons. So that also makes sense, yeah, over ATLA's original lore, because now they can't really go away from it now, because it's a show, and Korra being a show, kind of paved over whatever lore the original show kind of made and built up. Now, D-Man4 says, good morning, LD and Best I want to recommend you Acts of Blood trailer. It's a combination of Yakuza and Shifu, the with Reed flavoring. That's kind of cool. That sounds awesome. I do like that kind of thing. Let's see. Psychosis is a legal defense because it prevents a person from acting irrationally, but it's also very, very rare. I doubt it would. Yeah, the psychosis is kind of like they are psychotic. They are mentally ill. And I think it's like, well, okay, then you won't go to jail. You will go to a mental institution. But I don't think postpartum depression stuff would qualify in the same way because it's like hormones, and I think it's temporary. And still, like if you're a psychotic, it's like and you do a crime, ideally you should still be locked away. I'm pretty sure that's the case. That they put you in a mental asylum instead of a jail, but you're still locked away because you're dangerous. Mr. Vat says that's a problem, LD. She was seeking treatment and on a truckload of medication actively sought to institutionalization, but nobody took her seriously because being a woman makes her a victim. Yeah. But the thing is, out of all that stuff being the case, you still killed your kids. That's a crime, and you should be punished for killing your kids. There's 3 people who are dead now because of your direct actions, for no reason, for no legitimate reason. Let's see here, chat. Citing the Avatar comics is like citing new Halo books or citing the novels that came after Force Awakens and stuff to fix the story. You can't give me DLC for a story. That's crazy. You can't give me DLC for a movie and expecting me to go, oh, okay, well, if it's fixed now. Because I shouldn't have to read the books and do extra homework to understand your narrative. I just shouldn't. All right, chat. Let's get down to business. First of all, for White Pill Wednesday, I do have some good news. It turns out that Rings of Power is coming out, and everyone's laughing at it because it's atrocious. Check us out, chat. Let's go.
Thanks for Pierre. So in this video, we're once again returning to The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, a Prime original that is doing everything it can to disrespect the work of Tolkien. And as it prepares to go into its 3rd season, we're getting a glimpse at the 3rd season promotional materials. And ladies and gentlemen, just when you thought things couldn't get worse, it goes beyond your imagination with parody level imagery that you just have to see to believe. Now, this has been a disaster since day one. $1 billion investment into 5 seasons of this show is not panning out, but they are pressing forward. And this show is the epitome of the modern audience and the message. Now, here is that promotional pictures that I'm talking about.
By the way, these are all supposed to be dwarves. Look at this. He's like Corbin blue hair. What is like a Star Wars? I'm pretty sure it's a Star Wars hairdo. Like a Star Wars style hair. Like, what is this? This looks so bad. These are all 4 supposed to be dwarves. Now, the ones on the left and right look like dwarves. But the ones in the middle, what are these like Disney Channel original series dwarf people? Like, I do like the fact that they don't really look very happy. Like, this is the costume I get. I'm supposed to be a dwarf. Why do I look like a retard?
No words, ladies and gentlemen, but we'll return to this in just a second. Now, for those who are not familiar with the series, the 1st season was an absolute disaster. It got off to a terrible start. They had inexperienced showrunners. There was constant breaking of the source material, very rushed storylines, terrible dialogue.
And see, Alex Haley says only now Hollywood doesn't want women with beards. Yeah, this is only now. Yeah. But it's got the big difference, right? Lord of the Rings was written by a man. Rings of Power is written for gays and women, and you can kind of compare the two, and see what you think is better.
And of course, a focus on the modern audience, and it did not pan out well. Now, of course, the critics loved it.
The modern audience is gays and women. That's pretty much, if it exists, it's gays and women.
Giving it an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes, but the audience score told a different story with a 38%. So what do you do at this point if you're Prime? Well, you go for another one. You bring out a second season where we got to see the misunderstood orcs. Yes, the orcs that Token described as irredeemably evil. Turns out the showrunners for the show, they knew better. The orcs are just misunderstood. Yeah, they're just misunderstood. They want peace. They love family values.
And they got babies, and they got little and everyone who just killed orcs, man, they're all bigots and Nazis who don't understand. I can't believe they gave the orcs the misunderstood treatment. That's so insane to me. That's crazy. Hold on, chat. On this topic, since we're on this topic, I want to show you. Here's a famous scene from Lord of the Rings, but essentially, if they made if they gave them the Rings of Power makeover. Check this out. This is how Rings of Power writers would handle the orcs from Lord of the Rings. Check this out. Here we go. Famous scene. I shall ban flesh and that sort of thing.
What is it? What do you smell? Man flesh.
Man flesh.
God, gosh darn it. They've picked up our trail. Gosh. Oh. Run out, boys.
Oh, we're gonna get them. We'll show them. We'll show those men.
We'll get those guys. That's if Rings of Power people made Lord of the Rings. That's kind of what the orcs would sound like. They sound like normal guys. The whole thing about how orcs are evil is just bigots and Nazi propaganda, and they're all just misunderstood. That's what I assume how it would go. Anyway, back to the video.
Everyone's just being so cruel to them. Well, as you can see, audiences were not impressed. In fact, the second season saw a 60% decrease in total minutes watched from the first season, which was already a disappointment. Well, guess what? If you're Prime, what do you do now? You commit to 5 seasons. Yep, you double down on your billion-dollar investment on this series. And
I guess they already paid for it, so they might as well get all the content they want out of it, and they can just try to make some of that money back. Because I think they already paid for it.
Now we're starting to see some of the promotional materials for that third season, and it is absolutely abysmal. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you Dwarfs. According to the modern audience, this looks like the album cover of some failed hipster flute band that sold 5 copies. Like, I literally do not know what to say.
Yeah, it's like the hipster flute band that some guy will go, you probably never heard of them. But their music is genius and groundbreaking. But they'll never get the recognition they deserve.
About this, I thought it was AI, but from everything we can see, this seems like it is, in fact, official promotional material for the Rings of Power. Token is rolling over in his grave. The amount of...
There's an accurate depiction of what he probably would look at. Like, look at this face. Like, look at this facial reaction. Like, what? I fought Nazis for this?
Disrespect they have shown towards this man's legendary IP is so beyond me. Hollywood will do anything to continue to...
Maybe not Nazis, but I was like trudging around the trenches for this. Like, if I had to fight for the hope of the future of Europe for this, so they could turn my awesome story into some weird queer propaganda stuff. No. At this point, I think if a writer does do something like George R. R. Martin, or like probably he'd probably like it, but if George R. R. Martin died, he probably should like put a clause in his will that controls the creative production of his works that they shouldn't be made for gays and women. They should be kind of held to how they've been written. It should be respected. And so you lose all rights if you start making it commie propaganda. That should be part of the will.
Corrupt and destroy beloved franchises, just like the orcs would, right? They don't create, they only corrupt and destroy. And that's what
Yeah, imagine they had that sort of commitment to something good. Like if they found something really, really good and they had that kind of commitment.
Hollywood has done with this IP. And you can see some of the initial reactions. I mean, seriously.
Dave Ozzy's good morning, LD. Have you watched Batman Nightfall Part 1 yet? It's brutal, well voice acted and awesome. Not yet. Not yet.
What else do you say? I think this says it all right here. You can see more similar reactions. Okay, people are just laughing at this. Like,
it looks so bad. Like, what are the two in the middle? Like halflings or something. They're not dwarves. I don't see them and see dwarves.
If this was a parody, it would be understandable. But as official source material, this is insane. How it started versus how it's going. Look what Hollywood did to my boy. Okay, anyone who grew up with Lord of the Rings. Look at how this all went down. I mean, how many IPs has this happened to? It's almost something you can't even count. It's actually harder to find IPs that haven't been corrupted like this over the past couple of decades. But of course, this was the original post that started everything. Screen Rant here, who's a very serious account, or at least wants to be taken seriously. They shared this image. They even put their little watermark on there to make sure you know that this is what they probably paid for to share. And things are not going well. In fact, as you can see, the replies have been locked. And despite 250...
Yeah, you know it's never a good sign when the replies. They should just unlock the replies. Like what's wrong with that? That's more eyes on your post, because if there's like a ton of replies, a ton of back and forth, then it's going to get boosted more. It's going to get more in the algorithm. People are going to pay attention to it. So why lock the replies? It's only because of their fragile egos that you would ever lock a reply on a post like this.
50,000 views, only 200 likes. And just like all these other Hollywood shill accounts, they're hiding all the replies. Yep, anything that even looks like criticism or just indifference, it's getting manually hidden. See people like this. This is a joke. My God, I can't wait for this stuff. Ha 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 ha. What are we doing here? What are we doing here, ladies and gentlemen? For F's sake, dude. People even just posting GIFs of laughing. What's going on here? And you just keep going. Please stop making everything gay.
Like if they're a real news source, right? They should be neutral. So any replies they get for this should be like okay in their book, because it's getting more attention. That's their main goal. That should be their main goal, is getting their posts in the algorithm. You know, getting attention, getting eyes on this. That's like what J. Jonah Jameson would say. We get more eyes on this. We gotta get more readers. But no, because they're not neutral and they're therefore supporting any weird, strange, woke nonsense that the Hollywood pumps out. Like, oh, okay, well, we got to lock their replies, so we don't have any more mean comments coming in. And really, they should just be celebrating this cascade of replies. This is gold for them. It's Calabosh says, is hating something actually a bad thing? It's on you still. I mean, you should hate evil, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. You should not make friends with evil. It's like when Jesus told his disciples to go buy swords, because you're going to have to fight some evil. And not only buy swords, if you can't afford a sword, sell your possessions until you can afford one. Like Jesus was really based, really based. So care about for ROP, I feel nothing. But then again, I have the books and old movies to no love law. Yeah, it doesn't really bother us in the long run. It's more like you're making this. Okay, it's dumb and stupid. We could just go back to reading the original stuff or watching the original stuff.
And stupid looking. I'm crying. I mean, these are the things that are apparently too far for this Hollywood shill account to bear. But also we had this post that equally went viral with 3 million views, 2,000 likes. Wow, really upping the ante. But of course, replies locked as well. And they also started hiding a bunch of replies as well. The children don't look like dwarves, though. Where is his beard? They have it since birth. They might have a copyright issue on their hands because these exact costumes were used in The Burrowers. The whole show reminds me of that movie. Wacky AF. I love it. Why did they hide that? Like, that is the most milquetoast roast I've ever seen, but apparently
No, it must all be positive, must all be supportive.
they had to go in and manually hide this because they're that sensitive. But of course, you can hide replies, you can lock the replies, but you can't stop the quotes. And as you can see, dwarves.
How come all the dwarves are brown and black? Like, where's all the white dwarves? The dwarves are the last race that should be brown and black. Right? Dwarves live in mountains. Why would they be in any way brown or black? They should be all white guys. Where are they getting that sun from? Was there a sun in the mountain? I don't think so.
Just as Token envisioned, of course. Here's another one saying, I thought this was AI. Me too. I literally thought there's no way. In fact, you know what? The reason it's not AI is because I don't even think AI could produce something this hilarious.
Let's see. Thank you much, Content Catcher, for the $1 Rumble Rants. Is LitDev. Check out the show's American Story, game trailer, and stream clip submissions. Hey, pretty cool.
AI actually would probably produce something better than this, but here's another one saying, when you see posts from the subreddit polyamory, understand this is what the people look like.
Like if the one with the ball hair, I guess, if that was a guy, then yeah, that's what polyamory looks like. Calabash says, I noticed with this discourse around Halo stopping hating the new thing. Why though? If someone hates the new thing, it means they care. It's apathy. Yeah, because apathy is what took out Star Wars. Like, it became so bad that people just stopped caring and walked away.
Diabolical, but he's speaking facts, okay? Here's another one saying, this is precisely how I imagine orcs would portray Tolkien's universe. That's right. They don't create, they simply corrupt.
They simply corrupt. Anyway, there's the news that the Rings of Power is coming out, and everyone seems to be more awakened to the woke stuff now than they ever have been, because I think people had just missed out. Like, people just kind of let it pass with the season 1 and season 2. But now that 3 is coming out, we're like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this travesty? Yeah, it's time for the Tolkien fans to go to war. All right? Time for the Tolkien fans to go to war. Anyway, chat, here we go. We're going to move on to the meat of the episode today, which is Avatar comics are actual fan fiction. Well, in this case, I call them hate fiction because you have to be a fan to write fan fiction. But here we go, chat. Let's see what this guy has to say.
Another 4 words that say so much and are also so clearly used by people who are talking straight out of their asses. Like, I hear this used so much in casual discourse. It's something that pops up so frequently, and yet most of the time when it does, it's from people who are criticizing something that it doesn't even apply to. Take Aspen Hotel, for instance. Not a good show in my opinion, but it doesn't feel like fanfic. I'd say its writing is bad, and probably from someone who's...
Yeah, but it's like obviously a passion project, and Visipop does actually care about the show. The writing might not be the best. The songs might not be the best. I was very underwhelmed by the songs for the most part. There are a few really good ones like Poison and stuff. And in season 2, there's one that Lute sings, which is actually pretty good. But other than that, a lot of them are very underwhelming. Very, very underwhelming. Unfortunately, too, because I like musicals. So I might have like a higher standard maybe that I'm going by, but ultimately very underwhelming. Now, but it's not fan fiction. It doesn't seem like it's trying to poke fun at something or, poke fun at a genre or anything. It's made out of pure passion, and it doesn't have that going for it. However, the writing is not all that great. It seems to be very, very disjointed, and it feels like really does feel like they want to do one thing, and then while making the thing, totally want to do something else entirely. It feels very unfocused. He says, anyone here excited for the new Ali G movie? Not really. I don't think so.
Red fan.
I'm not.
Fanfic, but that's not all it takes. Something written badly can read like fanfic, but you can't call something fanfic just from badness alone. That's not what it means. No, saying something feels like fanfic is a very specific type of criticism. It's like calling something a Mary Sue. It has its place when you use it right, but you gotta use it right.
But you gotta use it right, because if you use Mary Sue too much for like every character, it's gonna lose its meaning, kind of like Nazi did, because they just called everyone a Nazi for whatever. But yeah, Mary Sue is very specific. Like, if you can't just call every character Mary Sue. You have to know what it is, and then you have to, like, point it out correctly. And Mary Sue is a character that doesn't really fit. It kind of has the universe revolve around them. It's kind of why, a lot of people like look at the Isekai or something, and they call that character Mary Sue. It's like, well, then, that's a Mary Sue character. That's a Mary Sue character. And the world is revolving around them. Like, everything is great. Which is why sometimes a lot of these Isekai anime tend to be like pro male, and it's all about upholding the male fantasy. Like, just I got a loyal wolf demon wife, awesome. But the thing is, everything this works out for them, and it's very boring. It's like, this is a Gary Stew. It's still pretty bad. Okay, the world revolves around them. Everything's very cool, very cozy, but really nothing could bother them or be a threat to them. So it's very boring. And so the Star Wars sequels, of course, are very boring. Because Rey is not just a Mary Sue, but like a god-level Mary Sue.
Otherwise, you're just devaluing the point. And that's what happened to this feels like fanfic. Nobody knows what it means anymore. I'm not sure if it's because this generation doesn't read fanfic as much, so they're lacking a frame of reference or whatever, but regardless, it is an epidemic. And I think the children need to learn. So for a while now, I've been searching for the most this feels like fanfic writing I've ever seen in something official. And it took me some time, since it's not an easy combination. You've got to have an old sort of soul to bring out something as lacking in self-awareness as fanfic writing needs. But I think I found it in the most unassuming place. See, if there's a series that's known
here we go. Avatar comics, here it comes.
for having spin-offs and remakes that people call fanfic, okay, there's a lot of those.
Oh, here we go, Chet, by the way. Hold on, I have to update this, though. But if we reach 238 today, then we will unlock the extra videos. If we reach 200 today, which is, just, $62 more? If we reach 200 today, then we will unlock Pillarman. All right, we get to 200. But if we go to 238, then we will get the extra video unlocked. And I do have an extra video to show you because I want to do a comparison and contrast. I think they're pretty fun.
But one of them is probably Avatar: The Last Airbender. And hey, honestly, I understand. Avatar was a once-in-a-lifetime show. It's got great
which it shouldn't have been. That's the whole tragedy of this whole situation, is that Avatar: The Last Airbender was really good. It was legendary. But it shouldn't have been such a lightning in the bottle situation, because most fans could probably just point out why it was good. Most fans could probably do a really good job at highlighting why he was good and making, like, if a fan made a fan film or something about this, they could probably do a pretty good job. For some reason, no one in the industry knows how the hell they did this, and it shows. They can't recapture the magic. They can't follow the same routine, what they did before. They can't follow that to more glory. It should have been easy. All they had to do is watch the old show and go, "Oh yeah, that was awesome," and know how to write characters. That's all they had to do, but they can't do that anymore. It must all be about emotional slop over and over and over again. Anyway, yeah, Trunks really did. Like, Trunks, like, he's an out-of-time character. He's out-of-time son of Bulma and Vegeta, who's super cool and shows up with a sword and kills Frieza in, like, one hit, and just gives everyone, like, some cool medicine and stuff like that, and lets everyone... Yeah, he's definitely, like, a fanfic character just come out of nowhere. See, Calabosh says, honestly, there are some really good fanfics. I think it could be a bit unfair to use fanfic as an insult, unless it's warranted, like post Volume 2 Ruby. I mean, that is true, but usually fanfic is for amateur writers and everything, so the whole idea of fanfic being judged by, like, the cringiness of its writing is kind of why that happened. Because it's usually about, it's usually amateur writers kind of starting off. So I think it might be more useful to have that perspective on fanfic. Like, this is fanfic. This is a personal fantasy of the writer. I think it might be useful to have it, like, be shortcut in that way. But yeah, there are some really good fanfics out there. Heck, isn't that what the Japanese market is written on? Like a bunch of doujins are like fan comics of something, and then they go off to make their own stuff.
Action, settings, world building, drama, characters and themes that dodge every trope you'd expect from a show of its time. It was complex, mature, funny, deeply introspective and meaningful, other positive adjective. Basically anything compared to that would seem a bit amateur, and it doesn't help that most other Avatar stuff just isn't that good. Whether it's Legend of Korra's...
Yeah, like, why is that? It's so mysterious. How come, like, okay, we're going to get M. Night Shyamalan to make an Avatar movie. How come they can never capture what made it great? Why do they always have to go somewhere else? Even though the Netflix live action show of Avatar can't focus on what made the show great. It has to go some other random, strange direction about emotional crap, emotional slop. Like the dedication to emotional slop has really ruined a lot of remakes and adaptations.
The old mech fight finale, the TV remakes' lack of subtlety, the live action movies. Where do I even start with that? It's hard to find anything besides the first show that isn't just super disappointing, is what I'm trying to say. Yes, that means the new movie too. The animation was great, but the writing was ass. Don't fucking talk to me. But they're also not fanfic. Does the world building in Korra suck? Yeah. Did the remakes have stupid changes just to be different? 100%. Is the new movie's character writing dull? Don't get me started. Still, not fanfic.
I mean, it was kind of cool. I like the new movie. I like the animation and everything. But was it a great movie? No. It was kind of like, here's an adventure. It wasn't groundbreaking or mind-blowing. I liked it for the most part. But it didn't, like, the storyline didn't blow anyone's mind. It wasn't like some great foundational storyline where I watch it and I have to go back and watch the original show again. It wasn't. But was it a serviceable movie? Yeah, it was fine. I think it was fine.
And the fact people have been calling them that for so long is why the real fanfic's been able to slip by unnoticed. Allow me to present to you the original Avatar sequel, the comics. And I know what you're thinking. Braxton, what could warrant calling these fanfiction? Aren't they just one-off stories written for fans who wanted something new once the show was over? And I thought that too. It's why I never gave them a second thought. Not that I wasn't constantly fiending for more good Avatar content, I just knew they weren't going to do much.
It's a shady rags. I disagree that Korra doesn't feel like fanfic. It completely ignores past characteristics and lore to do its own thing. Yeah, I think it's like one of the main issues people have with Korra. I'm focusing on love triangle and trying to be more adult. And it's really strange. It's kind of like when Russell T Davies took over, got his own show called Torchwood, and he wanted to make it like Doctor Who universe, but more adult, and he ended up making it more childish and stuff like that because it's kind of like a I don't know, 13, 14-year-old boy trying to be edgy. That's kind of what it feels like. It's like Zack Snyder. The more they try to push the idea of making something uniquely adult, quote unquote, the more childish it seems. It's just one of those conundrums. But yeah, Torchwood felt that way, and Zack Snyder's everything always feels that way.
For me. And there's tons of perfectly fine but disposable comic tie-ins, so what would make this any different? Why should...
Oddly enough, Avatar List Everybody was trying to be like a show that's serviceable for kids. Like, kids can watch it. But it still handled mature themes. It still feels like something adults can resonate with. And they didn't have to go the full-on edgy adult route. All he had to do was have things like, okay, Aang is supposed to be a hero, but he's also taking into consideration the fact that I'm about to kill my best friend's dad. And should I kill him? I'm going to have to kill him, right? Like, I can't, is there a way around it? Like, he has that whole conundrum. And there are things like, vengeance, topics of vengeance, topics of should you murder this guy for wronging you? What is really the honorable path to take between Zuko's need to become the prince again and the right thing to do, which is to probably support Aang and the destruction of the endless war that they're doing?
Should I care? I got the answer pretty fast when I read it, because these are fucking rough, buddy. I don't think I've ever had such a visceral, negative reaction to something as fast as I did when I read these. Granted, I just rewatched the show and loved it all over again, but that's what made me check them out, since they're supposed to be the canon continuation of the story. They literally start minutes after the last shot of the show, and on Wikipedia, they're listed like additional episodes, so they're trying to stand next to the big guy here. And I'm almost sorry to say this, but that kind of just highlights how much worse they are at basically everything. And it's not just the quality that bugs me either. That I expected. It's called being an Avatar fan. We're basically made to withstand an unfathomable amount of letdown. But there was something new with these. Something that screamed to me from the depths of its soul, Donut Steel. I could almost feel it pulsating off of these as I read them, and it just got worse with every book, page after page after page. It was nothing but that special brand of writing you can only get from a particularly bad fanfic. And the more I read, the more I knew that this was it. This is the holy text of what it should mean when you say something feels like fanfic. And just like each book of the show was about a new element Aang had to master, each book of this comic shows another side to what that means. Specifically, everything written from The Promise up through North and South. The canon also technically counts this other comic Imbalance as part of it, but it's from a whole different team, and honestly, it's not nearly as bad, so just forget it. The only ones we're going to be talking about today were drawn by Gurihiru and written by Gene Yang. Starting with
Book 1. Ideas over Logic.
So the first thing any sequel writer tends to ask themselves is something like, why does this deserve to exist? And it's a very good question, since most of the time when a story...
Yeah, but Snyder never did anything as disgusting as... he did. Yeah, I mean, that is fair. To me, Zack Snyder can be, I guess, ironically entertaining. Like, I like Watchmen. That was fine. I like 300. I think Zack Snyder did that one, right? 300 was awesome. The thing is, Zack Snyder is pretty serviceable. His style is pretty serviceable when it's something already written for him. Like, he's not really much of a writer. Like the parts of Superman versus Batman that were taken from The Dark Knight Returns were pretty cool. Like the suit, the outfit, the angry Batman kind of thing. But most of all, it didn't have the same weight because the circumstances under which Batman fought Superman in The Dark Knight Returns were way different than the circumstances in which they fought in that movie. Like, completely different. So it didn't really make as much sense at all. But it was when it's a story that's adapted, it can be pretty serviceable. And he did respect Watchmen enough to make everyone look like the characters from Watchmen, which is apparently told to us that it's completely impossible now. So I don't know exactly what kind of evil miracle he pulled off to get that to happen, but he got to happen. But there it is. Snyder never did anything as disgusting as Torchwood was gross. Like, it got pretty gross. It even had the whole thing where the main character cheated on her husband over and over and over again with like the different guys from Torchwood, and she told him about it. And then he got angry, obviously, and then she was able to wipe his memory. I was like, man, this sucks. Like, this really? He's like treated as the bad guy. Like, oh, and she started crying, of course. Like, oh my goodness, he got so angry with me. Yeah, you cheated on him with this asshole. Like, what are you talking about? Really, he should have left her. Like, should have been the right thing that should have happened was that she received consequences for what she did, and her husband leaves her. Because he was a good husband in Torchwood. Like, he was supportive. He didn't mind her job. You know, he was dedicated to her. And then she goes off and cheats on him because this new guy is way more exciting than her boring old husband, who is just, you know, has the crime of being loyal but boring. So, and then it's all kinds of just gross episodes of just about that were just handled in the most immature way. It's crazy stuff. You no wonder why it got canceled so early. Then we had Miracle Day, which was not Miracle Day. Children of Earth. That was the arc that really solidified the fact that this could be a viable show, and then it kind of fizzled out. Anyway,
story ends, it's from the writer deciding that they're done. It's finished. Every point was made. Every arc explored. There's nothing left to tell in this particular story. So how do you justify keeping it going? In the mind of most writers, it's something like build on characters the original never thought to. Find a new conflict that challenges the cast. Just anything.
Dark Knight Returns is very interesting because I have the comic and the movie. So the Dark Knight Returns is that's Frank Miller's Batman opus. However, it is very peculiar. It's not your typical comic. It's very much highlights and reflects Frank Miller's view on comics, which is he is very pro comics should be political. However, it's not saying that comics should have like today's stuff in there. It's like comics should be used comics should not shy away from politics in its internal storyline. So if you look at Dark Knight Returns, the comic book, and even the movie, there are segments in there where like they're going over like what Batman means, Is he like a menace, or is he beneficial to society? And they have like the based lady who's like, oh, he's awesome. We need him around to like start hammering Gotham back into shape. And then you had the super liberal lefty, happy, touchy-feely psychiatrist who's like, no. It's all Batman's fault why these people do horrible things. It's not their fault. And then, that ends up getting him killed because of the Joker's like, no, I'm pretty evil. It's the same thing that happens with the demons in Freeman, right? Like where they insist that, no, it's actually misunderstood and all that stuff. Actually, it's not their fault or whatever that they're evil. And then they're like, no, we're evil. The same thing happened with the Joker. Like he's like, no. The Joker's like, I'm evil. And then the hippy dippy far left wing guy is like, oh, no, you're just damaged and need to be taken care of, and it's all Batman's fault. And then the Joker ends up slitting his throat with a broken coffee mug. It's like, that's kind of how that goes. In other words, suicidal empathy.
To make it feel like they're building on the story instead of digging up corpses hoping there's still a pulse. And the thing is, Avatar might be one of the hardest shows to do that with, since it doesn't leave much room for add-ons. I mean, who's Aang supposed to fight next? He literally just beat the most powerful dictating firebender in the world on the one day in 100 years he'd be at his strongest. He's mastered the elements, saved the nations, traveled the world with his team who all went through their own personal arcs. Everything's at about the most perfect possible ending it could leave with. So where do we go from here? To space? God, I wish. But if you want,
by the way, one of the things that fuels how awesome Avatar: The Airbender was the fact that they were able to make likable characters. Likable characters. Katara was really talented and powerful, but she wasn't a girl boss. Like she would beat guys on the battlefield, but then also be team mom and be supportive of Aang and try to coddle his feelings. Everything. This is kind of why she clashed with Toph, because Toph is tough. Like, Toph is more of an earthbender, stubborn, like no more funny business kind of character. And so they kind of had a clashing over that. But Toph wasn't like, Toph was like really good also, but she wasn't really a girl boss either. She also had her flaws and insecurities, right? It's pretty cool stuff. But here's the thing. Even like the villains were likable. That's why everyone likes Ty Lee and Mai and Azula. Because even they had personalities that you could see being fun or interesting or unique, memorable, things like that. And then they all had arcs. Even the bad guys had arcs. Mai had an arc where she goes from, aloof, uncaring daughter of a nobleman to being on the world stage and challenging the princess of her nation for the sake of Zuko and things, and making real changes and stuff. So, it's pretty interesting how everyone goes through this little arc. Azula goes from a confident prodigy princess to being a psycho who lost all of her friends. Like, everyone went through a game-changing arc, and everyone kind of gained something. They grew from their experiences. At the end, they're able to topple the evil Ozai.
Want to know what it takes to feel like fanfic? The first thing you need to learn is that nothing is over. Ever. It can only be over whenever they say it is, and they're not going to be satisfied.
Nothing is over! Let's see. JD Rex says, us ATLA fans need to give up on a ridiculous dream of anything else from Avatar being the same quality as ATLA. Yeah, at this point, I had my hopes for the movie, and no, it was okay. It wasn't great. It was just okay, and I guess that's as high a hopes we can get. That the movie was not awful. So that's as optimistic as you can get. Multiple teams have tried countless times for decades, and not one succeeded. And that's the real tragedy of it, because they should have succeeded. It's not that hard, guys. You watch the show and you can easily, if you are creative and you know how this stuff works and how storylines work, but people liked it, I bet you any fan of Avatar: The Airbender can be asked that question and they can tell you exactly why they like the show. For some reason, they can be told this directly, and the creator's like, yeah, but what's the real reason? Obviously, we want more Katara. Well, obviously, we want more love triangles and all that crap. We want more social issues. That's obviously where we need to go. Like, no, stop it. Get help.
So it's got to keep going, especially with this cool new idea they've got for drama. Oh, how does it build on the main story and add to what it was going for? It really doesn't. But look,
Hey, hold on.
Especially with this cool new...
and say, if you ever see me turning into my father, I want you to end me. So that's the promise, by the way. I think that's the promise that Zuko's like, if I ever go full psycho, I need you to kill me, Aang, which is crazy. All right, Aang, I need to promise that you'll kill the leader of a nation. And if you ever judge that I'm going too psycho, even now, after everything that's happened, my family's legacy is still a part of me. That's why it's my duty to heal the scars that the Fire Nation... Like, you have to know that Sozin did not just go insane. There's some strange, like, this conga line of things that happened before he went crazy. At this point, the way they've written things, like, Sozin seems pretty on point. Like, yeah, the Avatar needs to take... We gotta get rid of this Avatar nonsense, guys. They look what happens with the world. Still a part of me. That's why it's my duty to heal the scars that the Fire Nation has left on the world. Oh, my good. Oh, clutch those pearls, Zuko. Oh, my goodness. Clutch those pearls. To feel that white guilt. Fire Nation guilt. But the Fire Lord's throne comes with a lot of pressure. This is why Fire Nation sucks now. Because Zuko is too apologetic, where he's actually coming from a point of strength. The Fire Nation still holds all the cards, but Zuko allows him to be pushed around. Now, I've said this before, long time ago, but my thing is, Zuko would suck as a leader. He's a good guy, and he's a very moral and a very powerful warrior, and is very wise in some ways. He's gone through a lot of suffering, but he sucks as a leader. To me, it should have been Zuko and Zula ruling. Like, Zula should be like the actual ruler of the Fire Nation. She would have been a much better leader in this time. Zuko did his job. He's not really the leader type, I don't think. Oddly enough, it kind of seems like he would lead the Fire Nation on a apology tour and a self-flagellation tour. That's what it seems like. Azula would have been able to lead the Fire Nation to, like, okay, we are coming from a place of strength. So we hold all the cards. So all you guys trying to make demands, sit down. All right. We might have agreed to end this war, but we still hold all the cards. So you can listen to me while I dictate what I do with everything. Right. That should have been the whole issue. And this comes up later on when Mai leaves Zuko again. It's like Zuko becomes a complete simp and soy boy, where he just kind of like this gets abused by Mai's boyfriend and just takes it because that's what a good man would do. He would not make a fuss. Like, no. This is how a man acts when he's written by a woman. That's kind of what happens. It's like Lon in The Notebook, where he's like, oh, okay, it's okay that you're engaged to me and decided to cheat on me anyway with your ex. After lying to me, saying that you're going to go visit your mom, but you really were going to go have a sex marathon with your ex. Oh, that's okay. As long as you're happy. Like, no man with a drop of testosterone and any self-worth would act that way. There should be consequences to breaking the heart of a murdering bastard. That's that sort of thing. One of my favorite lines from Kill Bill. There should be consequences, right? And you hear stories all the time about how, like, a woman will just divorce her husband and make it ugly and just take everything away from him, even like his 401k and his house or whatever, and then still go to him whenever her new boyfriend breaks up with her, and she's like surprised that he's like not there to support her anymore. Like, what? Like, what? There should be consequences for breaking a man's heart. There should be consequences, especially if it's like that, and you let your new boyfriend just talk him down, or talk down to him and trash talk him and stuff. Like, there should be consequences for trashing the Fire Lord in public, right? But no, because Zuko is the ideal man in the eyes of a romance-riddled woman. Romantic-riddled woman, he has to be like, oh, that's cool, that's fine, and that's the ideal man in their eyes. Like Lon, they want Lon to be. They want that guy to be the guy that says, oh, that's okay, that's fine that you betrayed me, you cheated on me, you lied to me, you broke my heart, you wasted my time. That's fun as long as you're happy. Exactly. Shady Rex says, he's like a fangirl who really likes Zuko's angry emo side and wants desperately to continue that. Yeah, and also wants Zuko to be single so that she can get with him. So they just... Mai and Zuko's relationship, after all the crap from the show, pops like a balloon. It happens. It doesn't happen like... sometime after an arc or something. It happens right away for no reason. So in the comic book, he comes home after dealing with all kinds of crap for the day. And then Mai's like, I found out that you're not telling me everything. I'm leaving you. That's it. It's like happens right away in the series. And then Mai just leaves him for like the pettiest of reasons. Despite growing up as a daughter of a nobleman and knowing that, the leader is probably not going to tell everything to everyone. Not even his wife. Right? It's like there's some the Godfather was even like that. Where it's like, I just never ever ask me about my business. Like I'm keeping that away from you. Keep you at arm's length. If you've seen Nobody 2, it's an exec mentality where the wife gets angry at Hutch, where she goes like, arm's length, Hutch. You promised us to keep us at arm's length from this crap, from the danger, from the violence. That's what Zuko was doing. That's what men are supposed to do. They're supposed to keep their families at arm's length. And Zuko was doing that with Mai. But then Mai's like, how dare you not tell me everything? I'm leaving. Like, no second chance. No, let's talk about this. Just, I'm leaving now. And then they almost want to team up Zuko with Suki, because then Suki and the Kyoshi warriors start guarding him for some reason. It's crazy. Like, nothing makes any sense.
Idea they've got for drama. Oh, how does it build on the main story and add to what it was going for? It really doesn't. But look, it's cool. It's a cool idea, and I like it, so it's just gonna have to happen.
Let's see, Alchemic 80s, additional $20 super chat. Thank you much, Alchemic 80s. You know what? You've been really generous. Almost funding all of this on your a big chunk of this on your own. Thank you much, Alchemic 80s. Holy shit, indeed. Thank you much, Alchemic 80s. But here we go, chat. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and make you the first producer of this week's Morning Nonsense. Thank you very much, Alchemic 80s. You've been very, very generous, so I think you deserve this producer's slot. Thank you very much, Alchemic 80s. Awesome, awesome. There we go. Thank you very much, Alchemic 80 says, for years, we have put emotions above all else. Yeah, I call it emotional slop now. And we see the devastation it has caused. There are much more important things like principles and integrity than feelings. Praise be to Space King. Yeah, emotional slop is just kind of like writers are just writing for emotion, like an emotional hit, than story and the storyline. Like, emotions really hit home when it's like built up and we earned it. Like, think of like Avatar. One of my favorite moments in Avatar is Zuko seeing Iroh for the first time after they're falling out. And then Iroh is not angry with him. He just embraces him. And you feel that because it's been earned over the course of a season or so. Right? You feel that. You see like Iroh is just forgiving him, and he's so happy that Zuko has come to his senses and all that stuff. You kind of feel that in the pit of your heart, the pit of your soul. That's good emotion, and because it's been earned, it has a solid foundation, right? A solid foundation on which it's built on top of. Emotional slop has no foundation. It's just like an emotional jump scare. It's like a jump scare. It's a cheap thrill for the moment, and then it's gone. So an emotional slop would be like this suddenly revealing that he was abused as a kid or something like that. Like it's. There's nothing that was leading up to it. It's not really all that important. It's just kind of like, explaining why he's an asshole or something, right? The twists and turns that they give us is just pure emotional slop without any built up to it. That's what I call emotional slop, and a lot of it has been emotional slop, like this out of nowhere. Zuko going, "Aang, if I ever go insane, please kill me." Like, why would you even say that? Like, this is emotional slop. Like, Mai is leaving Zuko for no reason. Emotional slop just to have that drama drop. It's like soap opera emotional slop. Yeah, but there's really no reason whatsoever at all why they should not have been able to recapture the magic of Avatar: Last Airbender. Like, it's so blatantly easy to identify why people liked it. Like the hero's journey of Aang, the trajectory of Katara and Toph and all these characters, their personalities. Like, they did it for 3 seasons. How come they can't do it anymore? Like, something is stopping them, or something is blinding them to the way forward. It's crazy.
Logic, progression, get that shit out of here. All that matters is it keeps going, since I want more. Do whatever it takes, I don't care. They're my toys, so they'll fight if I want them to. And that's how I'd sum up what reading The Promise is like, since it's nothing but a bunch of forced conflicts trying to play out despite everything pointing to how they shouldn't even be happening. Like, the basic premise is this. So, after they save the world and everyone's doing great, like, it couldn't be better ending for everyone, Zuko decides to ask Aang that if he ever starts acting like his dad as the new Fire Lord, he'll promise to kill him. And after getting the nod of approval from Katara, Aang agrees. Pause. So, Aang.
I like Katara's like, yeah, go kill him, Aang. I think Katara's might be biased here. You know why? Because it's like womanly bias, right? It's the same thing that we get called Amidala syndrome, which is, I don't want to marry you, Anakin. That's fine. I'm a senator, you're a Jedi, but you can't really make it work. And then he goes off and slaughters an entire community of sand people. And then she's like, let's get married now. Right? So Aang's got to get some kills under his belt. And that really turns Katara on.
Known pacifist. Someone who does everything in his power to resolve shit peacefully since he was taught to respect life at basically every level. Aang. The guy who, even when his own...
Yeah, so like... Aang's like, I don't care that Ozai is a psycho trying to literally burn down and commit a genocide against the Earth Kingdom. I don't want to kill that guy. But then Zuko's like, hey, Aang, would you kill me if I went crazy? Katara and Aang like, sure, buddy. Yeah, why not? I'll go ahead and murder you. They're more willing... Aang in the comics is more willing to murder Zuko than he is to murder Ozai. Just take that, take that and run with it. That's how the comics are. Insane. Shade Direct says, out of character as it is, I love the meme that Katara still absolutely hates Zuko and will forever be fine to me. Because she's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure she's biased. Like, yeah, let's go ahead and kill Zuko. Let's go ahead and kill him. Fuck him. Fuck that guy.
Son said he should die, wouldn't kill the power-hungry dictator trying to take over the world since it went against his principles. Aang, the guy so devoted to his beliefs he'd rather risk corrupting his own soul to remove Ozai's bending because he knew he was so unshakable in what he believed. That guy...
But then like Zuko's like, would you kill me, Aang? Yeah, sure. I don't see why not. I got nothing better to do.
Maybe a couple days after going through that process and saving the world without giving up who he is, would apparently on a fucking whim, pretty much responding to Zuko's shower thoughts, promise to kill him if he went even a smidge out of line. What? This is the promise the book's named after? It's pretty much going against everything Aang ever stood.
Yeah, you would think that the promise referred to some promise that the mother had or something, because the promise is I think... Or is it the search? Wait, is it the search where they're going to go after the mother? Because, but yeah, the promise is like one of the first comics to come out, and the promise is Aang's promise to kill Zuko. Your dad gets a pass on the whole death thing, but I will happily kill you, Zuko. That'd be no issue.
Good for. He would never agree.
Like Aang and Katara should be like, Zuko, that's retarded. That's dumb. Like, someone smack him.
To this. Oh, and Katara too. Katara, the girl who right after working with Zuko to take down his sister and free the Fire Nation from tyranny, a fight where he sacrificed himself to save her, is not only cool with this, she is convincing Aang to go along with it. Like there's any chance that could actually happen. And also, no one else has anything to say about this. They're all within...
Something I think Ozai gets a bad rap. Is he really that evil? Look, Ozai is not the guy that committed the genocide against the Airbenders. What has he actually done in the war, other than say that, hey, my brother Iroh is too much of a wimp to take over? I think I'll do a better job. That's kind of how that goes. And then, what has he actually done except perpetuate the war machine? Like that might be considered wrong. But what can you do at that point, right? Do you either give up and then have all the nations go, all right, we want to just annihilate your land now, or you continue the war and take it over because you're kind of close to doing it. So yeah, at the end, right? At the end, where he goes, it's kind of, but the mentality of his mentality, I would argue, changed. It shifted, where he kind of went from regular Ozai to Psycho Ozai, where he's like, I'm going to be the Phoenix King. So, I mean, Ozai did not commit the genocide. Like later on, he wanted to commit the genocide against the Earth Kingdom. That's kind of when he kind of when he did his Gaston moment, where he's like, He goes from normal Ozai to full-blown psychotic maniac, but only because I think he got drowned in how much power he was actually getting. And also that didn't make much sense because that comment was only going to last like what, a day? So what? So what's going to happen? Like the comment's going to pass and it could just be normal Ozai again. Is he still the Phoenix King? I don't know. But I think that was like his like fail his temptation test, where he kind of fell to his pride and his power hungry nature and wanted to burn down the Earth Kingdom, which was, by the way, I think was Azula's idea. Azula gave him. I think Azula gave him the idea, and he just ran with it. And that's why she was so angry. Like, "Hey, Dad, this is my idea. I get cut out. You're cutting me out." And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, daughter. You get to be the Fire Lord." Anyway, this is my thing now. All right, get out of here. So, what the whole show, Ozai was shown to be doing a few things. I guess like the main thing that Ozai did during the show is build more technology. That's kind of what he mainly did. I don't even know he started the prison for Earthbenders. I could have been like the previous guy. It could have totally been a Zulon. And like most of the more evil things were kind of done before his time. It seems like. I think this might be no. I say this because if all of that is true, then it makes sense why he wants to burn down the Earth Kingdom. Now, let me tell you why. Because psychologically, I'm using the hero's journey. I'm using Jungian logic here, like Jungian psychology. All right, there's always a conflict with the father, between father and son. It doesn't necessarily have to be evil or hateful. It's just, but the conflict is there, right? So usually the son goes one of two ways. One way, the son could follow in the father's footsteps, but then they're going to be in direct competition, and he's going to have to be either in the dad's shadow or overcome the shadow. On the other hand, he might go a completely different way, which is what Zuko did. But Ozai wanted to be the Fire Lord, and he wanted to make a name for himself. So he hadn't really done that. He was just like the Fire Lord for most of the show. But at the end, him wanting to burn down the Earth Kingdom and become the Phoenix King makes so much more sense if he was not responsible for most of those atrocities that we've seen. Like, his main crime was continuing the perpetuating what the Fire Nation was already doing. And even after trying to, doing all of his political shenanigans to get the throne, including murdering his own dad, which is very, very like Shakespearean, I would say. But he had nothing else to call his, right? He had nothing else to call his. So the whole thing with burning down, it would make a lot more sense if that's part of the whole situation with him, with being the Phoenix King. That he was talented, he was powerful, he was ambitious, but he really did nothing to make himself stand out. Is the Commodus thing? All right, this is the Commodus syndrome, where Commodus feels way overshadowed by his father Marcus Aurelius, and so what does he do? He makes endless games. He wants to be the god that the Roman people worship. That's what his goal was. So he kind of built himself up to be a god in like the controlling life and death in the arena. Okay, that's what gods do. And of course, he was deluded. But the thing is, I think Ozai, if you think about it, had the same kind of syndrome. He was overshadowed by Sozin, overshadowed by Zulon, and he really had nothing to show for himself other than just being the Fire Lord. He got that, but he can't really tell anyone why. And I'm pretty sure if all things were fair, if this was reality, then I'm pretty sure that Ozai was probably spending most of his time trying to keep the throne. Now, let me tell you why. According to Machiavelli, Machiavelli's the prince, if you fight for the throne and attain it, you're going to spend your entire career fighting to keep it. This is the rules on how it goes. So my assumption is that the reason why Ozai really couldn't do much outside of just maintaining the Fire Nation's war, maintaining what's already been built underneath him or before him, was because he was probably trying to fight all the machinations of the usurpers, trying to take him down. Right? Iroh was obviously passed. Iroh is still alive. Why was he not the next in line? It makes no sense, right? So Ozai's entire reign is on is on muddied ground. It's built on a swamp. So if we could do a whole story about the political implications of Ozai being on the throne and the psychology which kind of led him up to becoming the Phoenix King at the end. And it all makes sense psychologically, it makes sense traditionally, and it makes sense politically. Because he's probably constantly being challenged based on the readings of Machiavelli, constantly being challenged on his hold on the throne, constantly, which is probably why he couldn't do much. And then psychologically, he is at conflict with his father Azulon to the point where he actually murdered his dad because he just really wanted to prove himself. It's all there. It's the evidence is all there. He wanted to prove himself so much that he killed his dad. You know who else did that? Commodus. Not because he hated his dad, because he needed his dad out of the way so that he can claim the throne. Remember Commodus? If you remember the movie Gladiator, why exactly Commodus killed Aurelius? Because Aurelius confessed to Commodus that he was going to give the rulership of Rome to Maximus, not to Commodus. So Commodus had no choice but to kill Aurelius before this got out. So he killed his own dad so that the line of succession could maintain itself. Now, it's a little bit different with Ozai because Ozai was not next in line. He had to somehow circumvent his brother Iroh. So he did that by saying, hey, Iroh lost his son, like he sucks. I think I would be the more stable-minded to go with. And I'm pretty sure Ozai looked down on his brother. Like his brother was, a really good conqueror, but probably not going to be a good leader. And so Ozai was like, maybe I'm going to be the better leader, so I should have the throne. And so he made his play, and it backfired. It backfired big time. And rather than lose his son, he decided to go with killing his dad. But even if it was 100% a secret how that happened and how he took the throne over his brother Iroh, that's just suspicious, right? Why is Ozai the Fire Lord, not Iroh? It makes no sense. So, altogether, I think Ozai was being plagued psychologically all throughout his reign as Fire Lord. That he could not step up. They could not he was living in the shadow of his father, because unlike previous Fire Lords before him, he was not able to make a name for himself. He was just the Fire Lord. And what happens at the end of the series? Oh my goodness! I can burn down the Earth Kingdom and become the Phoenix King. That will definitely make me stand out in the annals of time. So I think that's kind of where it went with if you apply the story of Ozai to Machiavellian politics and Jungian psychology, it all makes sense. It all fits. There's evidence all across the series as to supporting these ideas. And it all makes sense if you really put it together. And Shady Rex says, Ozai admitted that he was willing to kill Zuko at the request of his father. The only reason Zuko's alive because of his mother. Yeah, it is true. But the thing is, it all makes sense still if you know that Ozai is ambitious. It kind of like we kind of depict Ozai in the show as like this two-dimensional, snively, whiplash kind of character. But if you think about it, if you kind of step into his shoes as a guy trying to play the game of politics, then his actions kind of make sense. And Zuko challenged him in the meeting room, right? And Ozai had no choice but to defend the honor. And keep in mind, he exiled Zuko as opposed to killing him. And when it came down to being willing to lose his son over that stuff, yeah, that makes sense too. Like, okay, he didn't want to lose Zuko, but he was willing to. That's the thing. Okay. If I'm able to, in order to keep my plan backfired. In order to keep my place, though, I need to sacrifice my son. It's like a game of chess. In order to keep my place and keep myself in play, I need to sacrifice my son. I don't want to, but I'm going to have to. Until his wife came in and gave him another option, which he jumped on, because I get to keep my son and I become Fire Lord. Is awesome, right? That's obviously the way to go. So instead of sacrificing his son just to maintain where he was, hopefully, and lose a lot of political power, he could kill his dad, become the Fire Lord. All he had to do was sacrifice his wife, which he was willing to do. So basically, yeah, Ozai obviously is an ambitious player in the Game of Thrones. The Fire Nation is just Game of Thrones. From Ozai's perspective, yeah, it would be. It would be. And my evidence would come from a few different sources here, but Jungian psychology, the hero's journey, Machiavellian politics, put them all together, you get Ozai's story. And it makes a lot of sense. It makes total sense with given what we see in the show. Absolutely. Like, even if Ozai didn't want to sacrifice Zuko, even if he loved his son, because of the way he took the throne, he really couldn't show Zuko any mercy. He couldn't, not without cause. So, idea here would be that even if Ozai loved Zuko and did not want him to die whatsoever, he still had to challenge his own son to Agni Kai in order to maintain strength. Because the moment he shows weakness, all of his enemies and conspirators would strike. They would see weakness, and they would use his leniency over his son's disrespect to win more people against him, to show people that he was weak and unable to, and not the guy that we need running this war or sitting on the throne, right? That they would, because like he's probably running into like, you think about it logically and historically as well. Ozai was probably also facing the threat of a Queen Elizabeth, Mary Queen of Scots situation. If you know that conflict where Queen Elizabeth was Protestant, Mary Queen of Scots was Catholic, and they wanted a Catholic queen on the throne. So what was going on was the Catholic conspirators were plotting to kill Elizabeth so that Mary Queen of Scots could take the throne of England. We would have a similar situation here with Ozai, especially after the way he took the throne. Like, you would probably have conspirators operating against Ozai in the courts, trying to get him killed, trying to denounce him, trying to get him off the throne so that Iroh could take over. There's probably a plot, against Ozai to put Iroh on the throne. And what do you have, chat? Who else is exiled along with Zuko? Who else? Who alongside Zuko is also tossed onto the exiled ship? Iroh. Coincidence? I think not. Anyway.
An earshot, right? Sokka, you got anything to say about the guy who helped save your dad and girlfriend from Fire Nation Alcatraz? Toph, any words on how your tea buddy Iroh would feel about this? Are there no objections here? Not even a little one? We're all just cool with him basically saying he wants to go through death.
I know Iroh wasn't really exiled. Right? He chose to go with Zuko, technically, right? I know technically he wasn't exiled, but Iroh also knows his brother, and so my thing is that he chose to go in exile with Zuko, partly because he wanted to protect Zuko and guide him, which is definitely an Iroh thing to do, but also if you kind of think about it politically, he probably wasn't too safe in the Fire Nation, especially after Zuko was exiled, right? Because that's a big change in the lineup here, and also, so you just think about the actual exiling of Iroh. So you can't really exile Iroh. Ozai definitely can't exile Iroh because that would be political suicide. Like, what are you doing? You're obviously becoming tyrannical. That would give him some points in tyranny. What he needs was a casus belli. He needed a reason why Iroh needed to be exiled. He needed to paint Iroh as a traitor in some way. So yeah, Iroh really couldn't be exiled, especially not by Ozai. What he could do though is plot his death, his assassination, is the ruination of his reputation. He could do all that stuff. So I think Iroh also fled to take care of Zuko, not only just because he wanted to take care of Zuko, but because it was really no longer safe for him in the Fire Nation. That's my guess. If I were to guess about this in the ways of politics and history and everything, that would be my guess. So Shady Rex says a lot of sounds like headcanon. Well, yeah, it's all headcanon. That's using real world logic rather than the internal logic of the show. You've said a lot, maybe. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going over some evidence from the show, but yeah, this is all headcanon, obviously. This is my it's a what's it called? It's a theory. A film theory. What's it's a fun I like to have sometimes.
By cop. And Zuko, what's your plan? You just usurped the throne, remember? Promised to make up for the wrongs of the family you just ousted from the throne? Who's gonna do that?
Now, canonically, Ozai also usurped the throne by killing his dad. So it's kind of runs the family.
If you're dead, pal. That's why I called it a shower thought, because it's something you think could be deep and true in the moment, but once you get out of the shower, you go, oh wait, that's dumb. Glad I didn't say that.
See, that's a real fanfic, okay? that's a real fanfic, okay? Because I'm actually a fan of the show, and if I were to look, if you were to ask me, like, what would the story be like from Ozai's perspective, it would be that. It would be that, and I can kind of see the rustling leaves of this scenario across the show. But the ending where he wants to burn down the Earth Kingdom, absolutely would it come straight from Jungian psychology of the father and the son having conflict.
That out loud. And another thing, why would Zuko ever worry he'd be like his dad? Didn't he just go through an arc of resolving the turmoil within himself, learning his dad's a cruel tyrant who'd beat up a
I think in the comics, he kind of came face to face with some realization that it could happen, because like he kind of, I think if I remember correctly, now I do have the comic, I guess I could reference, but at the moment, I think what happened with Zuko is that he realized that his dad and Sozin and all these guys were just regular guys at first who were not evil, right? And then somehow became evil later, like Sozin did. Like Sozin was the best friend of Roku before they had that big conflict and Sozin started committing genocides and stuff. So I think that's kind of what happened in the comic, where Zuko's like, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to become crazy, but in case I do, all right, I want you to kill me, Aang. Ozai does a King's Landing with Dev. Does he? Does he do King's Landing? I forgot. I forgot exactly what happened with that, the ending there.
child in front of people and scar them just to prove you shouldn't.
Now we really over it if we did like a red wedding, which that would be political suicide, but it'd been cool. There's no way that he could be able to maintain the throne peacefully after he like slaughtered a bunch of people, right? There's no way. But like, he would have to go through laws and legalities to maintain that throne even somewhat.
Mess with him? Does Zuko think he's gonna do that sometime soon? What could ever in a million years lead to him acting in any way like his dad? Well, as a part of righting the wrongs of his nation, him, Aang, and the Earth King come up with a plan where all the Fire Nation colonies get removed from the Earth Kingdom as an act.
Yeah, so that's their plan. Oh, we're just gonna have all the Fire Nation leave the territory they conquered. And then they kind of they run into the situation where it's been like 100 years though. And the people after Zuko's life are actually like earthbenders who identify as Fire Nation people because they grew up in a Fire Nation colony. This happened to be a Fire Nation colony in the Earth Kingdom. So you get these earthbender types who are technically speaking, legally speaking, Fire Nation people because of the colonies. And so Zuko's like, okay, fine, we'll just withdraw from all the colonies, and like, oh yeah, that's like a child's view of how to fix a situation. It's not a feasible one, and they do run into that situation.
Of goodwill. The only problem though is some residents.
Alchemic 80s. Thanks for $10 super chat. Oh my god! And see, the truth is that Aang should have put down Ozai. It would have been the completion of the setting aside your wants for the sake of the world. And Lion Turtle was a total ass pull. Yeah, I think even the writer said it was. I think they had planned a 4th season to get him to that point, but they didn't get the 4th season. So they just had him like learn that off screen, unfortunately. But it is a question, it is a matter of interest, I think. Should Aang have killed Ozai? That's a good question. Like what good comes from not killing him? Like yeah, it would be like like every other avatar he spoke to were like, yeah, go ahead and kill that guy. Even the other airbender one, I think, was like, yeah, go ahead and kill Ozai. It's not really the same as a regular person doing it. You're the avatar. It's just part of your job. So, I think that's kind of what the situation is. Like, should he have killed Ozai? Who knows? But I think that's a lot to ask from a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old kid. That is a lot to ask. Especially if he's been raised to be a pacifist, that is a lot to ask to commit murder. It's tough. It's rough. So I can definitely see why he was so desperate not to do so. Let's see. I've been arguing for that for years. I will keep arguing it regardless of it being Deus Ex Machina. Aang refusing to kill Ozai goes against the theme of the show we're building up to. Yeah, I personally think he should have killed Ozai in the duel. We can all see why he was so desperate not to kill Ozai, especially because it goes against all his beliefs and how he was raised. But that would have been a really interesting conflict, that he's trying not to kill Ozai. He's trying to find some other path. And then here comes the lion turtle to give him a way out. It's just a big cop-out. Writing-wise, it was a big cop-out. It was like an easy way out. So, to me, writing-wise, it should have remained that way with the choice. Kill Ozai, not to kill Ozai. There is no third way out. It just kind of took away the tension from that whole choice thing. Calabash says, can I ask, where did the whole air nomads are pacifists come from? The earlier series doesn't seem to support that. It was Aang, I think. At least by Aang's time, that was a situation that they had at least become pacifist nomads. So I think that was the situation. But yeah, I think the movie tells us that no, they were not always pacifists. In fact, they were kind of the opposite, but not in a ruthless sort of way. The movie tells us that the airbenders were kind of like the world police. So they fought and committed violence, but to keep the world at peace. So that was the whole thing. But I think Aang was like, I don't really want to kill anybody. And I'm supposed to be a pacifist, and it's better that way overall. Because probably Gyatso really hammered that into him. But Gyatso slaughtering an entire battalion of guys by himself. So, I mean, it's not really like Gyatso was also this hardcore pacifist either. I think it was... Okay, if I were to guess, again, and this is the same way... I'm guessing in the same way I'm guessing the story from Ozai's point of view, right? It's like, according to psychology and everything, for what I know, if I were to guess, okay, Aang was using his pacifism as an excuse rather than a reason, because Aang doesn't want to kill anybody. Aang personally does not want to kill anybody. So he's like desperately searching for someone to agree with him that, yeah, you shouldn't kill Ozai. And he's like, no, I'm pacifist. I can't do this. I don't think that's true. I don't think he is dedicated to his own thing, to his own beliefs. I think he personally does not want to kill Ozai because he personally does not want to kill anybody. He's a friendly guy. Like Aang is a friendly guy who just wants to play games and have friends, and he doesn't want to kill somebody, no matter who that might be. He's a 12-year-old kid. He's still like, 12, 13, maybe 14 at the end of the show. And two, he has to contend with the fact that he's going to kill one of his friend's dads, which is also pretty rough. But really, according to the trajectory of the show, right, and according to traditional storytelling, Aang should have ended up having to make the choice to kill Ozai, because that would complete his arc. That, it's not really about being a pacifist. It's not really about his beliefs. It's about his own distaste of that choice. And that's what's supposed to have been, I think. To me, that's kind of what it was supposed to be. It should have been. That every avatar is telling him to kill Ozai, and he has to come to terms with that fact, and he has to there's no way out. I have to do it this way. And that would have been like the final step into his hero's journey. That would have been his life or death moment. His life, going to the underworld and experiencing death and rebirth moment.
Won't go since they've lived there for generations.
It's like the death of Sirius Black. There is a world that existed where Aang did not kill anybody, and now we are in the world where Aang did did kill somebody.
So consider it their home. And this is the one bit of the story I'll give at least half credit for, since it brings up a real thing people face during Reconstruction. You know, sometimes there's so much history in a place where the cultures intertwine that it sort of reaches over the black and white mentality of getting one out and needs a new distinction. It's one of the only times the comic skirts the edges of being mature. Too bad it doesn't last, because when Zuko sees this and thinks maybe they should reconsider the whole thing, he doesn't just talk to Aang, his closest personal friend. No, that would be rational. That would make sense. But you see, Zuko is not rational here.
Well, the main point is that would not be emotional. If he just went up to Aang and started talking to him to, like a bro and just kind of was reasonable and calm and collected, that would be logical. That's what Zuko should do. But that wouldn't be emotional slop, now would it?
Like he was by the end of Season 3. Actually, if anything, he's been regressed to how he was in Season 1 so the conflict can happen. So now he's not the calm, stable guy who thinks things through and relies on people when he needs them. He's the isolated, cranky loner who threatens to burn down a village and goes through with undoing the truce unannounced for literally no reason. No reason.
Case in point, emotional slop. I'm going to cause this huge ruckus and destroy our deal and everything. Why? For emotions. It's an emotional surge.
At all. He just does it so Aang can see him going back on the truce, and being Aang, known pacifist, after a brief talk doesn't work, he almost goes into the Avatar state to straight up kill him. Aang, everybody. This is who he is now. And you want to guess his
you're being a bad man, Zuko. Time to slaughter you.
reaction to hearing what Zuko found out? Aang, the compromised guy who spent his childhood traveling the world making friends with people all over. Aang, the guy whose girlfriend is a waterbender? Why, of course, it's to say harmony can only exist if they're separate. And the soft, reasonable Earth King is not down to compromise either, since, and I shit you not, this is their actual reasoning, he wants to act like a big man who makes decisions before he thinks like his brother. So everyone's just going to war now. Yay! This is totally natural. Like, do you see what I'm getting at? None of
Emotional slop.
this makes sense. It's nothing but contrivance on contrivance to turn what should be resolved in a short conversation into an all-out war for no other reason than that the writer thought it was cool and dramatic. But the truth is, it's not. It's stupid. Because everyone's out of character. No one's acting how they should. They're all as unreasonable and rash and irritating as possible to justify making one ass-backwards decision after another. It's completely unsatisfying, especially when the story's as noticeably paper-thin as this one is. I mean, come on, it's Avatar, the series that prided itself on covering complex issues that didn't always have easy solutions. Katara sparing but not choosing to forgive the man who took her mother. Zuko being shunned for his identity after saving a village. The crew stopping Jet since even though he'd suffered, he couldn't kill innocent people. All these uneasy endings came from the characters having natural disagreements or the world not being fair. It never relied on everyone being a brain-dead moron when there's an obvious answer staring them right in the face. And the worst part is that the cast sorta acknowledge this discrepancy sometimes. Like, there's multiple moments in the story where Aang just goes, damn, why did I make that promise? That's not who I am at all. Or Zuko says,
Yeah, the Iki Transit looked at firebending was Ozai's identity, which is something that tends to happen with men quite a bit psychologically. And we see this across media, old school media, that kind of reflected reality. Because what happened is men tend to really identify themselves with their job quite a bit, and it's natural. But I keep telling you this is kind of like the whole topic of Brink, where he's like, he loses his ability to skate, sort of. Or he loses his reason to skate. And his dad's like, if you never skate again tomorrow, you're still going to be Andy Brinker. And his dad's like, I used to be a foreman. Like, yeah, I'm a foreman and stuff like that. He's like, after he lost his job, like, he had to face his own identity crisis. Like, what is he? Same thing with Frasier. Like, Frasier loses his job as a radio psychiatrist, and he's like, he loses himself. He has no idea who he is anymore because he was so thrown into his job as radio host that he lost everything. He lost his identity. And he had to go through a psychological confrontation with himself.
I can't be this way, it's not who I am. But it's always in retrospect after it's already happened. Like the writer knew he screwed up, so he snuck these in to pretend it's self-aware. But I don't know, man. That rings pretty hollow when as Zuko's having problems, his first thought isn't to go to his best friend or his girlfriend or his uncle, but the guy he should know why it's a bad idea to talk to anytime he looks in the mirror. This shouldn't be a hard concept to understand. Zuko would never go to Ozai, but everything everything's just so swayed to do whatever it takes for this plot to continue, he talks to him multiple times anyway. Fuck, it's like when you're playing the weird route in Deltarune where you just force the characters to do things against their will purely to satisfy your own desires. Except you're not the player, the writer is. He is forcing you to watch him subconsciously puppet these characters to do things, even though they all subconsciously know it's not what they're like. And if there's a better description for how bad fanfic writers treat their stories to make them happen, I don't know what is. This is book 1, by the way. Hope you're ready to buckle your fuckle.
Book 2.
Book 2, here we go.
Validating headcanon.
Now, to be completely fair here, I want to admit that The Search is the closest these comics ever come to being good. It's still not, but it's trying. And, it probably helps that it's based on the literal one hanging thread the series chose to leave, that being, hey, whatever happened to Zuko's mom? In fact, it was originally supposed to be a TV movie before Nick passed on it to greenlight Korra, so who knows? Maybe this took some ideas from that to build its own story. It would for sure explain why this is the only one that has anything engaging, that being pretty much all we learn about Zuko's mom. Unfortunately, though, most of the comic isn't about that. It's about, well, the search for her, which is comparatively really boring and tedious, even when it gets messed with by Azula. Alright, so Azula is a great character. Some would even argue she's the...
She used to be. She's a great character in the show. Just don't read the comics.
The best of the series. And yeah, it's a tall order with just how great the whole cast is, but in terms of villains at least, there's no debate. She's the best. Not that Ozai isn't cool and Zuko goes without saying, but no one controls the screen like Azula. Whenever she gets a spotlight, you will sit your...
Azula is another instance of Magnificent Bastard. This is kind of what you usually get with Magnificent Bastards. They're usually evil, but you can have a good guy version. But the main criteria is that they are not only charismatic, they know how to control the room. So it's one thing to get people to look up to you. It's another thing to be able to step into a room and instantly, boom, get everyone's attention. That's a Magnificent Bastard. Same thing with Xantos.
Ass down and pay attention, because she's the definition of captivating. She's strong, controlled, intimidating. She intentionally makes herself hard to read since she's just so good at manipulating her.
If all things were fair and ideal, yeah, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna mess that up too. It's a Zuko movie at best will probably be okay. We're just gonna have another okay movie. However, Zuko in particular is the prime target for all these women, right? So as we've seen in the comic book, they change him from the Zuko we get at the end of the series back to his super emo, aggressive, emotional self that is aggressive and just doesn't think things through, is just making decisions on the fly. They might just change it back to that. I don't know. So at best, the best we can hope for maybe is the movie is going to be okay and not too damaging to Zuko's character and not too cringe. I think that's kind of the best we can hope for.
Emotions. It's how she mastered lightning bending, a form that requires a precise, deadly hand with no room for feelings that could mess it up. She's about as disciplined to kill as they come, and that's what makes her downfall so amazing, since it technically comes from getting everything she works so hard for. Like, Ozai appoints her the new Fire Lord when he decides to move on and become world dictator, but even with all that power to match her strength, it's hollow. Because she's alone, isolated. The few friends she has.
That's probably part of this is so. They don't mention this, but part of it is why her character is so powerful and so interesting. Because one, she has mother issues, and she's like her mother saw her as a monster, which she's like on an intellectual level is okay with, because that gives her power and value. But on a deep down emotional level, is tough. Because she doesn't want her mother to hate her or fear her. She wants her mother to love her like she loves Zuko, which is also the conflict that she has with her dad. You can't treat me like Zuko. That whole thing. She hates her brother so much because of how much he got their mother's attention that her value is being stronger than Zuko, better than Zuko. That's part of her value, and so. It gets rough when her dad starts treating like Zuko and her mother loves Zuko more than her. At least it seemed that way. And in the end, that's part of it. But here's the thing that it all boils down to, and they don't point this out. But they have to. You got to remember that Azula, at the end of the day, is still a girl, and she doesn't want to be alone. She needs social energy. She needs connection. She needs friends, more so than maybe a guy does. But she's still a girl. She needs friends. She needs a social group, regardless of whether she wants it or not, or she values it or not. So this is why her downfall was so powerful, and why she cracked the moment her social group fell apart, because she's still a girl. She's still like a 14, 15-year-old girl. She needs a social group, and she was able to operate normally because she had everyone loving her and dedicated to her. She still had Mai and Ty Lee as friends, and it all fell apart. And when her social group fell apart, she fell apart. Zuko's social group fell apart immediately. Like, it's like he lost everyone, and then he lost Iroh, right? And then he lost his nation again. He's a guy, though, so his social group kind of falling apart is not as bad. It'll damage him, sure, but it's not as bad. He can recover from that. But Azula, being a girl, she needs her social connections, and without those, it's a huge blow psychologically. And so, snapped. And that's her whole case. That's the reason why she snapped. Like, her whole world became shattered the moment the value that she placed in her friends became non-existent anymore. Like, it just snapped. It cut. So that's kind of the big issue here. Very big issue. And you see like her breakdown kind of talked about psychologically quite a bit, but the baseline is that you have to remember that Zula, at the end of the day, is still just a girl. She is a girl, and you can't get around that. Zuko is a guy, and you can't get around that. But Zuko, being a guy, has different values. His value is honor, right? Respect, right? Women need social connection. Men need respect. And so they pursue both. And when that is shattered, they shatter. When Zuko's honor is shattered, that's his lowest level in the show, is when he loses all his honor, his self-respect. And this is to the point where he had everything he wanted except for his honor. And so his self-respect trumped everything he wanted. It trumped his position as the honored king of the Fire Nation. So Azula had everything. And what happened? The moment her social group kind of became compromised, she pushed everyone away. Everyone. Shady Rex that's part of her case. I wouldn't say her whole case. A big part of Azula's breakdown is that she thought fear was the strongest influencer and couldn't handle that love overcame it, which is Machiavellian as well. So Machiavelli would say that it's better to be fear than love, because fear is controllable. Love, however, is not. But in The Prince, he goes on to say that love is way more powerful than fear. It's just that love is not easy to control. Fear is easy to control. So yeah, that's a big part of it. Big part of it. She valued fear over love, and he just came back to bite her in a big, big way. Anyway.
Isolated. The few friends she had betrayed her when they knew she was going too far, and with Ozai gone too, she doesn't have anyone she can trust. So she starts getting paranoid from that isolation and pressure. She even starts hallucinating her mom in mirrors, making it worse. And it's that brief lapse in sanity that gives Zuko and Katara the opening they need to beat her. And man, what a fitting way for her character to go. Ozai's perfect weapon, made with the intent of one singular purpose, left screaming and crying, knowing she couldn't do it. It's like we're getting a rare glimpse into the other side of Azula, who's just a scared kid looking to please that's terrified of disappointing her dad just like Zuko was. She might know how to put on a mask of not caring, but in this one pivotal moment, we see it slip. But that's not what a bad fanfic writer sees, because they don't see nuance. Actually, they kind of hate it, since the more
they kind of want her to be a victim. That's what they boiled her down to, being a victim. And I think from what I've seen from the comics, this is exactly where they go. They make her a victim.
The more nuance a character gets, the harder it is to project their own personal takes they probably formed while watching the show. So if they want to try and counter that nuance to keep their vision alive, the only option left is to take everything so much at face value there's no room for interpretation. And this time, the writer only saw Azula as being a crazy psycho bitch. So instead of seeing this moment for the lapse in character it was, they used it as proof for that.
I guess a different writer, because I do remember that they eventually made a comic where they gave her a redemption or something, where she's a victim of Ozai, because it was Ozai's fault she turned this way. It wasn't because she was a psycho from birth. It's Ozai's fault. That way she's completely free and clear. of all wrongdoing.
Their own take and throughout every other trait she's ever been shown to have. Sure, at one point she was the cool, composed monster with a twinge of humanity, but post-ending, nah son, she's just a power-hungry maniac who's always getting visions of her mom, since did I forget to mention she's crazy? Just look at her eyes in every single panel. She's so unhinged. Who knows what she'll do next? Oh wait, she'll do the thing she does every time, which is fight and say everyone's conspiring with her mom since they made the vision she had in a psychotic break a main feature of her character now.
Is it the core part of her personality now? Elsa Core says, also Zuko losing his standing, becoming a drive for him originally, and he has seen as lesser, having to constantly prove his standing. Azula rarely met loss, and then lost it all because of her own actions. Yeah, it's kind of like she lost it all at once, which is rough for someone who's never experienced social loss before, because she might have lost some people before, whatever, but she never experienced social loss, which is a huge blow, especially for a girl.
No way! Wow, it's almost like they did that to simplify her, since trying to write something as complex as she used to be would be way harder. Like, what do I want to do here? Should I try to balance the cold, sarcastic apathy and unpredictable nature she's always had, or do I want to write the exact same reaction 10 times over to help emphasize my point? Gee, decisions. But I guess that's just the crux of bad fanfic character writing. It's not interested in telling a story with the cast the way we've come to know them.
I think they really need like an editor on that thing.
It just tells a story that reinforces how they think they're supposed to be. So they'll take a scene from the show to lend it some credibility, strip all the context that gave that scene meaning, add on some layers of interpretive ooze, and voila, you got something that's close enough to seem right while trashing all the bits that didn't line up with your headcanon. Now you just gotta contend with how you've turned them into an empty shell to avoid reflecting on your own biases. Yay! But there's also a big downside in setting up characters this way, since it kinda reveals the name of the game if you don't have any ideas for where to take them. I mean, you're already tossing away most of what made the character who they are, so the least you could do is give them a new direction, right? It doesn't excuse ripping apart their personality to keep the bits you liked, but at least it gives you a reason to make it a central theme of the narrative. Just look at something like The Last Jedi. Good movie? Not really.
Oh, here we go.
The way it characterizes Luke? Pretty bad. But you gotta admit, it had a story to tell through that version of the character, one with development and a message. There was a point beyond making someone's headcanon reality. But the bad fanfic writer doesn't think about the journey, they only care about the destination. So once they've proven Azula's a cuckoo crazy bitch who's suffering from delusions, that's about where her character starts and ends. Sometimes there's changes from Zuko's side, him wanting to close the gap between them caused by years of rivalry, but honestly, it might as well not even be there, because the writer's already done all they want with Azula. There was never a plan to use her new mental issues for anything. It was just about showing that that's who the character is. So from there, she's basically on a loop. She acts out, gets called crazy, says they're all working for her mom, Zuko calms her down, she gets a new vision, rinse and repeat till it gets really boring. And then just to have her run off at the end, since hey, character arcs are only a suggestion. And okay, I know I'm sort of just using fanfic writing as a reference here, but seriously, there's nothing that screams, I didn't think this through, like having someone you've been hinting at development just running away so they don't have to. It's probably the cheapest way you could take a character you've been baiting us with for over 200 fucking pages. And she comes back too. Yeah, she's the villain of another book from the same writer, and guess what? She does end up changing. Completely off screen. Why didn't we get to see this change in the 200-page book? She's a major character.
Oh, great. That's the best place to have major change to your character, off screen.
Of? Well, normally I'd give the benefit of the doubt here, but since we're going by fanfic writer logic, chances are it just took them that long to actually come up with something. So remember, kids, when you write yourself into a corner, just delay it as much as possible until you find a way out. Don't worry, no one will get mad. You turn the comments off, right?
Book 3. Shitty Copying.
And there's a reason I'm using the Rift for this example, since the other comics in this video, they're all annoying and dull and have shit that gets under my skin, but they're also unique, It feels like they're trying to add something to Avatar it's never had before. Usually what it adds is just abysmal dog shit, but if nothing else, I can give them credit for ambition. This one, though, this is what I'd call among fanfics the if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's kind of the opposite of what I just got done explaining. See, when they're writing like Azula's written across the search, it's to fix how they think the character's supposed to be. They don't like how the show went, so they want to bring it closer to their own interpretation. But with an ain't broke, don't fix it, they've got the opposite problem. They don't want to change anything. To them, the show's already perfect as it is, so if they try to write a story, it's going to be with this assumption they can never top the original. No matter what they write on their own, it's always going to be worse than what the show put out. So the only solution is to build their story from a bunch of things the show already did, with just enough to make it feel sorta kinda new-ish. After all, you can't be worse if you're just straight up copying them. But what the bad fanfic writer doesn't take into account with this is that they aren't on the show's level of writing quality, obviously, and there's nothing that makes that more obvious than when they open themselves up to direct comparison. I mean, just through the nature of fanfic, you're kind of doing that already, but you're making it way easier when people can side-by-side it to what you're pulling from. And that's the main thing wrong with the Rift. It's just recycled ideas that put through the lens of a writer who's...
And Secret 9 says, wait, that's what happened to Azula? What a waste of time. Yeah, this fix her. It's fine. Good to go. Don't read the comics. They're just all it's just garbage.
Completely out of their depth aren't nearly as good. And it's worse when you notice they didn't really get what the show was going for in the first place. Like, let's start from what this comic's about. Toph. So, Toph exists at this very interesting intersection of common character traits that make her stand out. You know, she's tough and stubborn, but she isn't cold. She's overly brash, but smart and focused. She loves making quips, but it's always from a genuine place. Everything about her exists in this weird equilibrium where she's never exactly how you expect her to be, and a lot of that has to do with how she grew up. Since, on one hand, she was this noble girl raised with traditional skills and patience, but on the other, she's this intuitive fighter who learned to fend for herself using earthbending. And you might think those sides would clash for some conflicting feelings about her identity, but they hardly ever do. Toph doesn't have any hangups about being a rich girl or being a fighter. She just sees them as different skills she can use when she needs them in the moment. The only ones who made it an issue were her parents, who, in wanting to keep her safe, couldn't accept she'd found a way to beat her blindness. And it's that disconnect from her family that the Rift wants to tackle again, which, hey, on its own, isn't a terrible idea, since it was an avenue of the story without much of a resolution. I could see this being a good way to explore Toph a little more as a character. But on top of how it's structured exactly like her intro episode, except instead of rejecting she's a bender after seeing her fight, this time her dad says he was wrong, there's also the problem with how this...
Yeah, they always wanted to change it. Also, by the way, the comics is where we see Iroh apologize for that moment where he's like, what's her name? The bounty hunter lady lands on him, and Zuko's like, "You're not paralyzed, uncle." And he's like, "Shh." Which was just a funny joke, but not to a feminist. That's just practically rape. Like Iroh practically raped her in that scene. So he has to apologize and stuff to her for that moment. Like, come on, let's let things be funny again.
Completely misunderstands his reason for rejecting her. Because like I just got done saying, the thing he couldn't accept was that his daughter was strong. Like, his exact words were, "My daughter is blind. She is blind and tiny and helpless and fragile." So he lays it on pretty thick what his damage is. But even though it's copying so much from the episode that line's spoken in, this doesn't convey that at all, since somehow the writer didn't get it. The way this portrays him is the more generic route, where the thing he couldn't accept was the idea she wasn't a proper girl and disowned her. And you may not think that's a big discrepancy, but it actually...
That's a big change, by the way, because it changes from a father who's like, "I want to protect my daughter who is blind and needs protection," because that's a very fatherly instinct. That I want to protect her. I want her to be safe. I see, because she's disabled, I know she's fragile and everything. And he just can't accept the fact that she's willing to accept danger and is able to fight and defend herself. That's why that he has such a aggressive attitude towards protecting her and keeping her isolated, because he loves her. Now he's loving her too much. Like it's too much, which is why we kind of side with Toph on this. But it's coming from a place of love. Now the idea of like, "You're not a proper lady," is just ridiculous. That's a whole different guy. That's like, "I don't really care about you. I care about how the family looks and my stature. So you better be a proper lady so I can look good." That's a whole different guy. It's a huge discrepancy. And doesn't make any sense because Toph never really revealed that she was anything but a proper lady. She was only ever her like crass, aggressive self when she was outside of that guise, right? She would go off and fight people in the arena, That's what it is. All right. So that's kind of that's where her that side of her comes out. So as far as I remember in the show, she was always acting like the proper lady in front of her parents. So the whole idea of like you're not a proper lady doesn't make any sense. And the dad seemed like he would be accepting of her no matter what. It's just that he wants to protect her, and the wife goes along with that too. It's not just him. She also wants to protect Toph. Weird. I know it's weird for modern day writers to accept that mom and dad might love their daughter, but that's how they were portrayed in the original show. Because today, the modern day writer can only accept the idea of mom and dad hating you and not really valuing you. They only value you in terms of how you make the family look. And again, I'm pretty sure this is another. Well, they interrogated me when really they just asked you questions because you claim to be a fan kind of thing. So it's not really. I'm pretty sure their experiences are just skewed to how they want it to be as opposed to what actually happened. So here, it's just their version of what the generic, we're a noble family. We need you to be a noble girl to make the family look good. That was never really the case. It really was just, they loved Toph a lot and they wanted her to protect it.
Has a massive effect on the entirety of the comic. Since Toph isn't just seeking the freedom to be who she wants anymore, she's actively against any form of tradition. And what do you know?
Like, I'm surprised they didn't make Toph gay and have the dad be like, I didn't want a gay daughter, so I exiled her.
Oh, the other part of this is about Aang wanting to keep his traditions alive. See, the main premise here is that Aang, trying to contact another avatar, Yang Chen, tries to hold a festival on sacred ground where his people used to celebrate, and in the process, he finds a crystal mill run by Toph's dad that's polluting the environment, but she seems to like since it's the future. Now, I'll get to all of that in a second, but for now, let's stay on Toph, since I can tell that with her new love of progress, they're trying to do something like when her and Katara fought since they had different teaching methods. It's supposed to be a clash in opinion where from Aang's side, you can see why he'd want to keep his traditions and land, while from Toph's, you can see why she wouldn't and thinks there's benefits in change. What trips this whole thing up, though, is that putting aside what's making Toph act this way to begin with is wrong. Their responses to each other are also way too disproportionate. Like, when Toph and Katara fought, it was mostly this back and forth bickering since they naturally got on each other's nerves. You couldn't say one was more at fault than the other, so neither looked worse. And that's clearly what this is going for too, but Toph is transparently worse here. I mean, even with the new backstory they give where she was forced to stick to traditions and didn't like it, I think there's a big difference between I'm not gonna be who you tell me to and, well, Aang, if the world's been fine without your traditions of bowing to a statue and playing music so far, maybe they should just be forgotten. Like, whoa, bitch, he's tried to preserve the culture of his people that were wiped out 100 years ago. Who cares if he doesn't know exactly why they were performed? It's important to him. And most of it's the most harmless stuff imaginable. So for her to brush it off, crush their instruments, say it's fine that a big polluting factory's there since she suddenly gets into boys for this absolute randy that's running it, how am I supposed to take that? There's no getting around it.
Wait a minute, she likes this guy? He looks like a complete soy boy. Is this guy even a guy? Look like a lesbian. Like, what, does Toph fall for this lesbian?
This makes Toph look awful.
I guess she is blind, so there is that.
And the writer doesn't even seem to realize. They think they're creating a compelling narrative where you can see both sides of the argument, when no, one of them is more unreasonable here. And they try to make it seem like Aang's not great either after a while, wanting to tear down the factory since it would put the staff out of work. But aside from how he could probably just ask to build it somewhere else with the help of the Earth King, from his perspective, it's tear down that factory or it gets torn down anyways and everyone dies to the spirit they angered by building there. He has way more reason to tear it down than Toph has to defend it, which she only does because she's not willing to trust Aang's judgments. And in the end, what does that stubbornness amount to? Her basically goading him into killing the spirit, creating a rift, so Toph can hang on to her idea of progress. It makes her look so fucking selfish, but
this level of writing you get in the comics, by the way, everyone's just an idiot or a retard. It's Curly Butterfly. Thanks for the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you very much, Curly Butterfly. Very much appreciated. Let me see here.
Oh my god!
Thank you very much, Curly Butterfly. Awesome. Welcome to 5 new members of the Legion and will enjoy the past shows and the custom emojis. Now, here's the thing. I decided to automatically put every single Weeb Day into members only. So Weeb Day will automatically, no matter what, be members only. Let's see. Alchemic 80 65 says $5 says the inventor character is a self-insert. Yeah, probably. I mean, we've seen this so many times. It's not even just women who do it. It's guys who do it too. Guys do this all the time as well. This is why this is why fanfic in general is just flooded with self-insert Mary Sue characters. Yes. Because it's not just women who do it. Guys do it too. It's just that women tend to do it a lot. It's women who popularized the self-insert Mary Sue. Way back in the days of the menagerie. Let's see. I'll come again. You say Taito says the inventor character is a self-insert. I think you would win that bet actually, because I'd make the same bet.
The book has no self-awareness about it. I think the idea it's going for is something like when refugees took up the abandoned air temple, where it's mentioned progress isn't something you can stop, so you have to embrace it. But another thing that episode said was that progress should be done with respect to nature and the history of the land. And there's no respect here. They blatantly say Aang's traditions need to be changed for the sake of progress. But why does progress need to happen here? You know, when I see...
Yeah, because the writers hate traditions. They like progress. They hate conservatism. So yeah, of course it's going to end with Aang's traditions need to make way for progress. When you can have both.
Factory workers breaking a promise to keep a land clean by
because in the modern day writer's point of view, traditions are dumb and are useless. So it's kind of like things you do just to do, and they're okay as long as they're out of the way. When traditions are traditions for a reason, we tend to like stop tradition and to like get rid of them. And then only once we get rid of them do we remember why traditions are important. Progressives and modern day people don't really understand why traditions are important, but they are very important. And for example, being that one tradition of like some tribe, how they prepared food, they have no idea why they prepare food this way. It's just tradition that they do it that way. And it turns out that the way they were preparing their food traditionally got rid of all the bacteria, all the harmful elements of the food were being stomped out because of how they traditionally prepared it. They know all this. They didn't know that's what the reason for the tradition was. They just knew that's how it always worked. So traditions became traditions for a reason. But a lot of modern day people don't really realize this.
Industrializing it, I don't tend to imagine forward-thinking inventors. No, to me, it reads more like the US promising natives they'd leave some land alone and then killing them when they realized there was gold underneath. Doesn't look as good telling Aang he needs to leave his traditions behind.
Well, then you shouldn't have been living on all that gold. I mean, whose fault is it really? And see, Z's Garden says, what even does progress even mean? What does it even mean? In what direction? Yeah, and how? Oh no, but of course we shouldn't ask. Yeah, just they think progress is good for progress's sake. But that's been like a fear of every traditional sci-fi, right? It's like science has gone too far, but every single moment science has gone too far has been gone too far in the name of progress. Dr. Rand the Force says they are so pro-progress and anti-tradition that they become anti-environmentalists. That's it's just all, it goes all the way around.
Fine, now does it?
By the way, chat, I don't think we're going to get to the extra videos today, but we are $2 away from today's prelimin.
And they don't even have a good rebuttal for why they were right to be so stubborn and kill the spirit. All that happens is another spirit comes around, says he was wrong and humans are great, and when Aang points out they didn't keep their promise, she just says, yeah, guess you're right there, you kinda shit the bed, but you'll do better next time, probably. Humans are cool, or something. Bye. I swear, I wish I was making this up, but that's legit the takeaway. And they just do a version of the festival that integrates new stuff. Like somehow that shows they've reached a good middle ground. It's such a half-hearted nothing burger of an ending. This is why you don't copy shit from the show without knowing how it works. You get all these inconsistencies that make for a way clunkier story in the long run. It's infuriating. But it also gets worse.
Book 4, DeviantArt Love Triangles.
Here we go. Carlos Batista 2 says, here you go, LD. Well, thank you much, Carlos Batista. Very much appreciated. Nice! Thank you much, Carlos Batista. Here you go, LD. Well, thank you very much. That is right to $200. Thank you very much. Fantastic. All right. There we go. There we go, indeed. So we have reached today's prelimin, and I believe that if we do manage to get $38 more, then we will get the extra videos. So $38 more will get us the extra videos for today.
Oh yeah, you knew I couldn't talk about fanfic writing without bringing OC romances in. What would a video like this?
Here we go. I'm pretty sure this new guy they bring in to be Mai's new boyfriend is also self-insert. Like, I'm pretty sure. I would have to make that bet as well. He also talks down to Zuko, trashes him in public. It's awful. This guy should just be killed by Zuko. Like, he should be Agni Kai to no end.
Just be without it. Probably easier for one thing, but alas, even with some of the blandest Katang moments ever, they just weren't satisfied till they had some relationship drama. Which sucks, because I thought Avatar was, for the most part, pretty good about that stuff. I wouldn't say it was the best part of the show. At times, Katang could feel a little sitcom-y as a ship, and the bait with Zuko, that was kind of painful, but I feel like it balanced out by the time Aang realized he couldn't give up his earthly attachments because of her. And from there, I think Season 3 is pretty engaging, since there's actual shit that keeps them from thinking about it, but you can tell their romance is trying to bloom. It's very natural for the story, and it helped that the staff knew never to make it so prominent it could take away from that. But that's not the mindset of fanfic writing, because in fanfic, you don't have to worry about consistency or logic. You just gotta focus on either validating your favorite ships or invalidating the ones you hate. So Aang and Katara, they're great. They're perfect. Nothing's wrong with them. Ever wanted to see them call each other sweetie all day like a suburban real estate couple? Great news. But ooh, Zuko and Mai, the ones who are naturally in love to the point she'd give up everything she had if it meant saving him? Sorry, buddy. Doesn't look like that's on the menu tonight. Side
Ew, gross. Who wants that? That's dumb.
note, have you ever thought Avatar
Why have that be a stable relationship when you can have emotional slop?
didn't have enough cuckoldry? Yep. If your favorite part of suck
Oh, that's mean. That's mean.
if it meant saving him? Sorry, buddy. Doesn't look like that's on the menu tonight. Side note, have you ever thought Avatar didn't have enough cuckoldry? Yep.
I like this. Cuckoldry shows chibi reviews. That's mean.
If your favorite part of Sokka and Yume's relationship was her being engaged already, please get away from me. Have I got the story for you? Or well, technically it's a love triangle story, where Zuko's competing with another guy to be with Mai after they broke up in the promise, but really it's just this ping pong between one flirting with Mai and the other getting a panel to look on sadly in their metaphorical cuck chair. But who could ever compete with Zuko for Mai? I mean, they're so well suited for each other. Just two teens who hate the world and everything around them for pretty sensible reasons.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Mai was already someone self-insert, like, or at least psychologically speaking. I'm pretty sure Mai, like, I want the emo boy to get with my version of Daria. Avatar Daria is it gets to be with Zuko, and they're perfect. They're really good together. Absolutely. Like the complete opposite of Daria and Tom. A complete opposite. Fuck you, Tom. I hate that guy. Worst episodes ever.
But find a little bright spot when they're with each other. It's a sweet dynamic, so if they're gonna split them up, they better have something that's just as sweet to match it, and who the fuck is this guy? So I haven't touched on the comic's original characters yet, and that's sweet dynamic, so if they're gonna split them up, they better have something that's just as sweet to match it, and
here's the Tom of Avatar, Tom of the Avatar universe. Like look at this guy, like someone's bland stand-in shonen protagonist.
who the fuck is this guy? So I haven't touched on the comic's original characters yet, and that's mostly because, well, aside from the fact I just didn't want to, they've also never had a big enough role to be worth mentioning. Like, what? There's Toph's students at the metal bending school she runs, Zuko's mom's new family, that twink guy Toph's supposed to be in love with. It's kind of been slim pickings so far, and I've appreciated that. It's less mess to worry about. But for this book, I guess the writer still had some boxes to tick, so we've officially...
Alchemic 80s. There's a $5 super chat. Oh, look, another love triangle with the girl at the top. Daring today, aren't we? Daring today, aren't we? Exactly. And you know what? This is kind of why that other guy, terrible writing advice, really harped on and hated love triangles, because not only are they hackish, they tend to be done wrong quite a bit, and they tend to be shoved into stories unnecessarily for emotional slop.
got an important OC in the form of K. Lo, who's a guy. Yeah, he's a guy by definition. I checked, and he's all right. Listen, the only shitty.
Oh, so you know what you can check out the definition for a guy, huh? But I guess We might run into issues if we have to look up a definition for a woman.
He's got going for him is that he's another guy after Mai, and he's sort of connected to the main story, which I put in air quotes there since it's supposed to be what the comic's about, but it all feels like a tangent next to the love triangle, so it's kind of an afterthought. But apparently it's that Mai's dad wants to overthrow Zuko to get Ozai back in charge while he's secretly being played with by Azula, and Kalo was a spy meant to recruit Mai who turned to her side once the dad...
Hey, wait a minute.
Apparently, it's that Mai's dad wants to overthrow Zuko to get Ozai back in charge while he's...
Wait a minute. What the hell is this picture of Ozai? What are these lips? It's like a Joker clown lips. What the hell is this picture? You got like a different artist to draw Ozai. What are these like Joker clown lips? Man, talking about disrespect.
while he's secretly being played with by Azula.
What is this face? What is this face she has? What is this face? Oh! Like someone told her they had her favorite ramen in stock. Like, what the hell? This is great! Really? So like that's the kind of face you make when you find out you do have a table of Dorsia? You know? Ukano, don't you get it? Okay, this is awful. Oh, man. I will probably get like an aneurysm after read an entire comic's worth of this dialogue. What is this? She turned like a dark, manic pixie dream girl. Like, what is going on here? Who talks like this?
And Kalo...
Even if they're insane. Like, just they have no idea how insane people would talk, right? It's like this is my depiction of how a crazy person would speak.
Was a spy meant to recruit Mai who turned to her side once the dad tried killing Zuko's family. And now I could go...
See, this would definitely happen. Yeah, assassination and stuff like that. So Zuko is kind of dealing with what I assume Ozai was dealing with, but Ozai was able to deal with this in a much more ruthless manner.
Go on about that.
Like, I'm pretty sure Ozai would be the kind of guy that would just like, oh, you tried to kill me? Well, I'm going to skin your entire family alive. I'm pretty sure that would be Ozai.
And how utterly frustrating it is that Mai won't...
I've checked Ozai's shoes. They might be made of human skin. I don't know.
Say it's her dad as he tries killing literal women and children. Or I could mention how their plan of stealing kids to make...
Like, I ask, is Ozai really that evil into the end? Because what we get from the show, like, he just sits in his chair most of the time. But if I were to reverse engineer the character, and I see him more as Commodus, like Gladiator, then yeah, he would be a freaking psycho. I'm pretty sure. Alchemic 8065 $1 super chat. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Yes. Wait, so he wants to restore the tyrant rather than have his daughter be the wife of the Fire Lord? His wife, I mean, Mai left, right? Mai left him. So I'm pretty sure like there's nothing really holding him back anymore. Also, Ozai wasn't really a tyrant to him. He was benefiting pretty well from having Ozai in charge. He was put in charge of Amashu and stuff. Like, he was doing pretty good. So yeah, get Ozai back in charge. Absolutely. It's kind of like what happened with the whole struggle with Napoleon, right? Well, Napoleon helped take over, he helped be part of the revolution, topple the monarchy. But even after Napoleon, there were still people who kind of liked the monarchy. It's kind of like that. Even like, not necessarily even nobles, it's like regular people, actually.
People think spirits are mad is stupid when Aang's right there to say that's not how it works, but do you even give a shit next to the cucking stuff? It feels secondary, right? You're not paying attention to that when there's something infinitely more interesting going on next to it. And it's sort of the main flaw with fanfic romance. Sometimes it's not even trying to be the focus, but through sheer force of cringe, it can't help but suck everything around it into its orbits. And this one especially sucks since, for one thing, Zuko and Mai are totally mischaracterized. Like, since when was it a thing that Mai played with guys' hearts or wasn't direct? We've only ever seen her be the exact opposites. And secondly, how am I supposed to get invested in the love triangle when the other guy is literally nothing? I know I just said his name a minute ago, but seriously...
He just exists and is as generic as a character as you can possibly get.
Seriously, who gives a shit? This is the most blatantly unimportant guy I've ever seen in my life. He looks like a background character, and he's got a personality to match. You want to know his main character trait? He's nice. He's a nice guy. He's the nicest guy you ever damn seen. And look, he's travel size too. You just gotta soak him in water and he'll shrivel up nice and easy. It's a perk that comes from having the...
I'm pretty sure if Zuko challenged this guy to an Agni Kai, this guy would fold. This like laundry.
Consistency of cardboard. Why else do you think he's not on any of the covers? He's hidden in Mai's dress, duh. What other reason could there be? After all, he's just as important as anyone else, right? That's why you can totally believe him when he says Mai is his girl.
Because I don't know, actually. That's a good question. What would be his tax policy? Because that's a big question. Are you taxing everyone the same? Or is it like noble tax versus... Actually, you know what? It would just be nobles. So on one hand, I think Ozai would tax pretty high in order to keep everyone down. It's kind of what the Shogun did during the Shogunate. He had not only the Shogun, I think, tax everyone pretty tyrannically. I think he also had people come in every once in a while where the Shogun, or no, the daimyo had to come in and live in the capital for a while in order to dissuade people from actually launching assaults and stuff like that, plotting against him. My feeling is that Ozai would do something similar, considering that he knew how the game was played. That's my guess. That would be my guess. So his tax policy could either be really high in order to, anger the nobles, but then they would have to pay the taxes and not have a lot of resources left to, pay assassins or whatever. On the other hand, it could be low to appease those who are on the fence. So what he would hypothetically go with, I don't know. But he could go these two routes for those reasons.
Dude, the drama is so fucking real. But for a minute, it's starting to rain, we can't get him wet. No, but for real, he clearly doesn't matter. And that's what makes it so confounding that the story tries to say he isn't. It wants you to think this guy and Mai are destined to stay together. And after a certain point, Zuko doesn't even try to disagree. It really just becomes Avatar cuck theater for a while. And with just how brazen this guy is about Zuko needing to move on since he's with Mai, I legit think that's how it would have stayed if this wasn't an official comic. Since in a fanfic, that would be the end of it. But even with all I've just said so far, you gotta keep in mind that these do in fact have editors. So there had to have been a moment where they realized where this was headed and said, hey, don't do that. This guy is nobody. Which would explain why after everything, he suddenly decides he's gotta go. No build-up, no goodbye, not even an explanation. He just dips. It's so abrupt, it's kind of great. They really just banished this guy to the Shadow Realm to keep it from getting worse.
I mean, I guess it's one way to go. I would think Zuko had killed him or something.
I kind of love that. And Zuko and Mai don't even get back together. It's a lose-lose for everyone. I couldn't think of a funnier outcome. I was gonna tie it back into a thing about how fanfic romance is inherently fragile and ends as suddenly as it starts, but nah, man, it's just funny.
Book 5, Magic Conflict Generator.
By the way, for those of you who have not seen the new Avatar movie, I want to point out that Mai is nowhere to be seen. Zuko is still Fire Lord of the Fire Nation, but Mai is curiously absent. So I don't know if they're going to go with this as canon or not. It could totally be that Mai has permanently left Zuko.
Right, so remember when I said the best way to describe fanfic writing is someone bashing their action figures together because it's cool? Well, this is what happens when a friend comes over and says they don't act like that, so now you have to try and think up an actual logical reason for why they're fighting. But there is no logical reason, it's just self-indulgent fantasy. So what's the next best thing? Make some shit up. You ever seen an anime filler movie? Just do one of those. Except Norfin.
Also, on the whole tax question, I think it really all depends on how their system is activated. Like how's it set up? Like, is it like satraps, or it's I guess maybe not. I guess it is more like European style because of Mai's family. They were put in charge of Amashu. But I guess it depends on what level of authority they have. So, like, the European system is there's the king, and then there's the dukes, and then there's the counts, and there's the barons, and all that stuff like that. And they all have control of their own domain, but they have to, obey the guy that's on the higher up. But this is also makes their rulership fragile because each guy under you has a lot of power on his own. You can have a count who happens to be on land that has a lot of gold or something like that. You know how Dune activates, where it's like Baron Harkonnen is just a baron. Like, he's a bottom tier noble, but he's incredibly wealthy because he controls Arrakis, right? So that's how that goes. Like, he gets to keep a lot of the wealth, and all he has to do is give a portion to the king, to the emperor. That's all he really has to do. Or the guy above him. Like, all he has to do is give like a bunch of money to the count that's above him, right? So, which is actually pretty. It's a pretty smart move for the Emperor to switch up the Baron to a Duke, because the Duke he answers directly to the Emperor. So essentially, what would happen is the Baron will give part of his wealth to the Count. The Count will give part of his wealth that he gets from the Baron and everyone else to the Duke, and the Duke will take part of his wealth and give it to the Emperor. So basically, the Emperor is getting a cut of a cut of a cut of a cut. However, you replace the Baron with the Duke, he's getting a much larger portion of the earnings from Arrakis. So it's actually pretty good politically. But anyway, now the satraps from the Middle East, they don't have that power. The satraps are just kind of like guys who run the nation or run the area for the leader, but they actually have no power or influence. They're the guys who kind of just are mouthpieces for the ultimate leader. Meanwhile, the noble system over there in Europe, everyone has power and they're all in charge of ruling their local area. This is why they can have a legion of knights and everything. Now, this is the way that Japan runs. They have a bunch of daimyo that kind of just run their own areas. This is why they had a bunch of wars all the time, because everyone had so much power. And that they had the Code of Bushido, which is essentially just serve your lord, not necessarily the emperor, but the lord. So you had all these guys that are loyal to their lords and not necessarily the shogun. So you had that kind of thing going on. So it really depends on how the Fire Nation works, how their system works, I guess, and that would determine how the tax policy tends to work.
Itself makes one big mistake. See, anime filler movies like to have conflicts that are completely disconnected from the rest of the series, and there's a strategy there. It stops it from clashing with the show's continuity. It's basically what the new Avatar movie does. Aang doesn't have to deal with anything that contradicts the show, since the new airbender he finds was stuck in a mountain somewhere. Boom. Continuity unbastardized. But at this point, you should know, fanfic writers aren't that careful. So North and South has a story that's so full of plot holes, there's no way the writer missed it. Like, I can forgive a small mistake here and there, you're not gonna catch every little line, but this goes beyond just contradicting lore or even the characters, though there's some of that too. But no, North and South's conflict literally relies on shit we're explicitly told isn't the case. Let me explain. The basic idea of this is that when Katara and Sokka get back to the Southern Water Tribe, they see it's grown a lot with the help of the North, who apparently think of the Southerners as cavemen who need saving to be a real society.
You know, the Northerners have always considered us savages. Now their chance to impose their version of civilization on us. Savages, barely even human. That'd be kind of interesting to have like a Southern-Northern Water Tribe civil war, although the Southern Water Tribe would get annihilated, I'm pretty sure.
And since some of the warriors aren't on board with that, they try to stage a revolt to, in essence, keep the genes pure. And Jesus fuck, this is stupid. Like, first of all, sure, the Northern Water Tribe were bigger than the South, but they very clearly never looked down on them. Actually, they always treated them like you'd expect, as brothers in arms.
Yeah, they treat them, in the show, the Northern Water Tribe treated them like brothers. Like, you're also Water Tribe. Welcome.
There was never animosity, and from what we did see of their differences, at least culturally, it was the North who were behind, not the South. Remember the episode about their old-fashioned gender norms Katara had to fight through, or how Katara's...
I don't know. They seem pretty the same. You know why? Because everyone was so readily giving Sokka all the responsibility because he's the oldest male in the tribe. Everyone was so okay with that. But apparently that's not sexist, because it's a man. It's them expecting a man to pick up responsibility. Now, expecting women to pick up responsibilities and adopt roles, that's sexist. But if it's a man being expected to pick up responsibilities and roles, that's fine, apparently.
Grandmother left since she didn't want to stick to their traditions?
Like, why isn't the grandma leading the tribe? They respect her, but it's Sokka doing, like, nobody... Not one freaking person said, "Hey, Sokka, don't fight Zuko. That's retarded. Like this, don't fight an entire ship of Fire Nation soldiers on your own." No one stopped him. Now, was it manly? Absolutely. Was Sokka commendable for doing that? Absolutely. That Sokka was definitely ready to die for his people, and that makes him awesome. Like, no wonder he's such a chick magnet in the show, right? But the thing is, the grandma didn't step in to go, "Hey, Sokka, don't fight the Fire Nation." No one did. Everyone was so ready to just be okay with Sokka going off to die because that's what men do. But when Katara was like, hey, you got to go heal because first of all, you're a fantastic healer, but women heal. Suddenly that's sexist. So it's sexist when it's a woman when the expectation is being hoisted upon women. But when Sokka was expected to just lay down his life valiantly for his tribe, oh, that's just what men do. It doesn't seem fair to me. The only reason why they seem so progressive in the South is because we got to see the gender roles in terms of what men are expected to do, which is apparently fine.
Or even how the South were seasoned warriors while the North's newest Fire Nation armor.
By the way, the seasoned warriors from the South, pretty sure they're all dudes. That's why only women were left behind. Only the women were left, it's like young men and women were left behind. Is the Southern Wallet tribe really all that different? I don't think so. It doesn't seem like it. How come all the dudes went off to war and then we left all the women behind? Why is that then? Why? If they're so progressive down there. Shouldn't they just be, just all have gone to war or something? Right? So no. It's just no one batted an eye when it's a bunch of men going off to do their duty because that's what men do and upholding the traditional roles of men and women. That's apparently fine. But when Katara is expected to not be in the battle and to heal, oh, that's just too far. That's sexist. Oh man, we gotta correct this.
Was 100 years out of date? I mean, the North were isolationists. That's how they survived. So why are the North seen as the modern ones? Because they live in a city? You know, the South used to have a city.
Yeah, because the North has a city and they still have like a lot of stuff. I think the South was devastated by firebenders, so that's kind of why they're way behind.
Too, right? And it doesn't even match with the cultures they're supposed to be coming from. The water tribes aren't the industrial ones. That's the Fire Nation. You know, the ones who manipulate something common in factories. If anything, the water tribe was the most dependent specifically on bending. They don't have trains or ships or self-powered mechanisms. They still use wooden rafts and sails, for fuck's sake. Their entire society is formed from using the water and ice around them. So does it really seem natural for them to just open a factory? I get that culture is always progressing and whatnot, but out of all the remaining nations, they would be the slowest to adapt, especially the North. This feels like it's completely based on looks, but obviously...
It's Jimmy God. Says, what makes Mai's new BF worse is that him and his father were on the side of unalive Zuko, put back Osai on the throne. Yeah. I mean, really, if the father should have been like, "Hey, Mai, we need you to stay with Zuko a little bit longer so you can kill him." All right, BF worse is that him and his father were on the side of unalive Zuko. Yeah, so it really feels like a whole big power play, I guess.
That can't be true, since, well, if you took a look at the Southern Tribe, you'd realize there's not that many of them. The South was decimated by war and genocide. Their numbers were thinned to where Katara was their only bender. There's maybe
not genocide. Still around, and would really be easy for the Fire Nation to just wipe them all out. But I wouldn't say genocide. Battle, yeah. This regular, ordinary battle.
40 people in their main village. The South was on the verge of literal extinction at the start of the show. So where did all these guys come from? Who are they? Everyone acts like they've just been there the whole time, but if you've watched the first episode, you know they weren't. Where are they hiding? And how is there enough of them to have two sides to a conflict? Most of these guys basically poofed in from thin air. And the actual thing they're fighting for is dumb too, since like I said, they were decimated by war. They're not in a position to act like they don't need help. They were reduced to a collection of tents. People should be ecstatic at the prospect of full homes and commerce. It's objectively better than what they had. You can try to frame it as worse by saying they're harvesting oil or erasing their way of life, but their way of life before was barely surviving. The North coming in is supposed to be seen as this civilizing the savages thing, where it's framed like they're forcing their way of life onto the South, who were perfectly fine living like they were, but that wasn't just culture, that was necessity. They had to live that way. It's like looking at war-torn Ukraine and thinking, but we wouldn't want to damage their culture by rebuilding their homes. Like, it's just a shitty, poorly thought out take on colonialism, and that's emphasized by how they directly...
That's kind of the Avatar comics in a nutshell. It's a shitty take on X.
Ukraine and thinking, but we wouldn't want to damage their culture by rebuilding their homes. Like, it's just a shitty, poorly thought out take.
Yeah, shitty, poorly thought out take on X is how you kind of can generally describe the Avatar comics.
On colonialism, and that's emphasized by how they directly compare it to their other one. Yeah, this tries to say the North coming in to help is exactly like when they built a factory on Aang's ritual spot. But, buddy, that was done without consent on sacred ground and put everyone's lives in danger. This is a net positive meant to help the people that were living there. These aren't comparable in any way except for how badly they cover the subject. But hey, at least the
I just got a text about Tim Curry dying, yeah. So, Tim Curry, Dolly Parton, we need a third one. So, a third celebrity is destined to die soon, I think.
message about
Because celebrities usually die in threes.
progress being good fits this time, broken clocks being right twice a day and whatever, still doesn't change that these are without a doubt the definition of fanfic writing. And just to be clear with that, I want to say something. I know not all fanfic is inherently bad. Sometimes it can be a really good outlet for potential writers to dip their toes in with a world that's already made for them. And I don't think the intent was saying this feels like fanfic was ever to disparage those types of people. It's not a statement against the entirety of the concept, just the worst aspects of it that give it a bad name in the first place. And
It takes some particular flavor of retardation to be like, oh no, these guys are coming in to rebuild our society. They have the same culture. All right. They're not any different. The only reason why we think they might be different is because Katara had to face demands of women, right? And then that was sexist. And then because all we had to deal with in the Southern Wild Tribe was demands of men, which was okay apparently, and no one batted an eye about that. That was all part of the plan, that sort of thing. Let's see. All right, chat. Well. We are, I think, $23 away. I think we're $23 away from unlocking the extra video, but we're at the end of the stream. So. We are going to go, however, go to stream memes, and we have unlocked the Peleman theme, absolutely, chat. So here we go. Lower your volume or raise your volume, whatever you prefer, chat. And Peleman, loud clip incoming. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, there we go. There we go. Fantastic. Back at it again with stream memes. Let's see. Cheers for everyone. Absolutely. All right, here we go. So let's see. Let's see here. It's only Wednesday. Hang in there. It's almost there, chat. Almost to Weeb Day. Almost to Weeb Day. Weeb Day. Getting pretty close. Let's see here. How do I know my client? How do I know my client didn't do it? Because he's a placebo. He's never done anything. Dolly Parton? Is Jane Fonda even in this thing? I want GTA 6 to fail. But GTA 6 failing would have a devastating impact on the entire industry because investor confidence would evaporate. I already said I'd wanted to fail, and you don't have to sell me on it. Let's see. Fallout logic. Open door, locked very hard. You wake up tomorrow and the year is 2002. What do? Buy a house with my lunch money. Yeah, just take a part-time job and buy like 10 houses. Let's see. Alchemic 80s. Thanks for the $20 super chat. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Let me see here. Where is it? Ah, here we go. Thank you very much, Alchemic 80s, for the $20 super chat for the extra video. I think that's generosity enough. It's not. We still need $3 more technically, but it's only $3. So, no wait. Let's see. No wait. Yeah, we do technically need $3 more, but I think that's generous enough. So we'll do some extra video stuff in a minute here after stream memes. Inside of you are two wolves. One is a toaster oven, and the other is a GAU8 Avenger. You are General Electric. New California Republic. It's time for you to look inward and begin asking yourself the big questions. Will people buy my bathwater? Iro bathwater, $40. Iro bathwater. Do you know the way? How am I supposed to eat this pizza without my drink? Exactly. You tell him, Iro. Returning to a meme that got downvoted to hell to read the comments. Who would have thought after all these years I'd return to the scene of my greatest military disgrace as a tourist? I like how Aang's team avatar had the best waterbender of the world, who he married, the best earthbender of the world, the leader of a group of elite female warriors, a capable strategist and warrior, a future fire lord, and then Katara, and then Korra's was her ex's brother that she also went out with once because he had a crush on her but didn't turn out well. Her girlfriend who also dated her ex. They are not the same. Katara when she was burned, Toph when she was burned. Yeah, just I'm gonna fight back. But quick being a little bitch, Katara. I can explain. You get a first and last name, and I'm just Katara. Yes. I don't think anyone else really has a last name except for Toph Beifong. Like not even Zuko has a last name. Like what's Zuko's last name? First name I only had like Sokka's. Yeah, he has I have Sparky Boom Man. You guys are getting named. I'm just the cabbage guy. My cabbages. Going to school for the first time. There it is. When you visit the same school as an adult. Huh? It's so small. You can't teach children here. Some people talk about, I guess, Starfire. Others talk about Hellfire. Me, I talk about Wang Fire. The best of the fire. It's Alchemic 80s of the Fire says that take your money, now dance until you die. Thank you very much, Alchemic 80s. Very much appreciated. Yes. And see, to get season 2, we'll say, I don't want to watch it, but I will for $500. I'll watch it for $500. All right. I'll watch it and talk about it and report on it and everything. Probably even do a video about it for $500. Once I actually canceled my Netflix subscription. I just wasn't watching anything on it really. And see, so I have to reboot that, and that's $40 or whatever on its own. Wang Fire doesn't read books. He stares at them until he gets the information he wants, because Wang Fire is the most Chad of men. It took Zuko 3 seasons to be accepted by the Fire Nation. Sokka became a Fire Nation legend as a side quest. That's how awesome he is. Time to pay our respects to the great Wang Fire. Let's see here. All right. Well, this is up to date now, I believe. There we go. Awesome. Fantastic. All right, here we go. What's this? Married siblings, father and son dating. Foundation kids, confused screaming. Yeah. Sapphire, Wang Fire. They have a pretty cool last name, ironically speaking. Hello, Avatar Aang. Why don't you take a seat right here? Why are you after Aang, Chris Hansen? He's only 12. Yes, but being trapped in an iceberg for 100 years technically make him an adult. Bullshit. Let's see. I was the event that hurt Aang the most. No, I was. Amateurs. What was that, punk? Amateurs. Aang's just got a good friend. Aang's just a good friend. A sweet little guy just like Momo. Boom! Crushed. Came in like a wrecking ball. Did you know Aang has never needed Viagra in his life since Katara is a bloodbender? No. It's a wishing well. I wish to be irresistible to men. Poof. Dragon. It's a dragon nonsense. Do you want me to seduce Sokka? How would that help? I don't know. I just want to see if I could do it. Tylee, I appreciate that, but I don't think it's something worth losing your virginity over. Let's see. Oh, Azula, I got rid of that a long time ago. Your Majesty, I've safely returned the princess to you. Father, it's me. May I have your blessings to marry her? I'm not so sure. For fucking sake, darling. Just wear your damn glasses. His wife is the queen is a dragon. Let's see here. Oh, this is good. That's a good character, actually. Hate elves. There's animation. I'll check it out in a little bit. Why Maya is the best girlfriend. Always in a good mood when you're around despite gloomy demeanor. Puts up with you even when you broke her heart many times. That's true. That's pretty insane. Zuko did legitimately break Maya's heart, I think more than once, and she's still like on his side. Protects you from trauma. Smiles when she hears your name. Don't ever break up with her again. Betray an entire nation for you. And you mean to tell me that this girl was like, you're not telling her anything. I'm leaving you. When I first saw that, I was like, is this a joke? Like, is this a test or something? Like, obviously she can't be leaving him, but she did. And did not get back to... I mean, what kind of retard would think that even remotely makes sense? I hate destroying things. I don't think that's what happens in the comic. I don't think she says that. And see, Aang, during all the hard times, you were at my side. When I lost Appa, when I got hit by Azula's lightning and almost died, when I had to get ready to face the Fire Lord, and you were always there. You know what? Yes, honey, I will always be there for you. No, I actually think you bring me bad luck. Like, it's all this crap happened because of you. That Amy is getting kind of close. Avatar Kyoshi, what should we do? We should take Kyoshi Island and push it somewhere else. That's what she did, actually. Also, this is the plot of that Fantastic Four movie. We're going to take Earth and push it somewhere else. I know more about wind than you two. I know about wind than anyone. I know most about wind. What's this? Zuko, there's something off about her. I can't explain about she's slipping. Azula is completely bald. What is his face? You're no longer my brother. You are the enemy. You see a warehouse in the distance. Is that like a werewolf? Oh yeah, this is what happened. This is how they got to the gazebo, right? Is that like a werewolf, but instead of a wolf, they turned it into a house? You guys were under delivered and overfucked, and you have a lion to thank for. He made it into a monster. It's a warehouse. In 2010, 2015, 2019. Okay, what's the difference here? I guess they added in a girl, and it's all gays and women now, I suppose. Because back then it was like, oh yeah, time to have a smoke with my friend. Then it's like, okay, smoke with my friend. And then 2019 comes along, and they're all soy now, I guess. I don't really see too much of a difference other than they look a little bit more mature because he's like wearing the same crap in all of them. What's this? Oh, is this the time to? It's the face off. Let's see here. Zelf fantasy. The cooler than that. Oh, is this them dressing up? I guess. Oh, it's just Katara dressing up as all of them. Red carpet. He can fix her. I can hear you guys. Did you bring protection? Is there a new enemy? Don't wait a minute. That's like the worst thing you can ask Aang because he needs to start repopulating that population of airbenders lickety split. And say, haha, I'll watch this avatar. Make it like this. I'm pretty sure it might be good. So in theory, you could bend your own breast milk. Just shut up. How do I feel when I talk to bro on Discord for 6 hours straight? Well, that was fun. It's like the nicest guy in the world. Are you Are you tired of being nice? Don't you want to go apeshit or something? Yeah. I mean, there's only value in being a nice guy if you're also able to just not be nice anymore. I'm sparing you, Sozin. I'm letting you go in the name of our past friendship. Good thing you spared him, huh? Idiot. Look what happened. You spared Sozin. He committed genocide. Look what happened. In space. Dolly Parton. There we go, chat. All right. Time to get in back to work, chat. Here we go. So, and we get this all in order. All right. So, I have 3 videos here that I want to show off for the extra video segment. First, a blast from the past. Here we go, chat. Blast from the past. Check it out. So this is the original World of Warcraft cinematic trailer. It's how it used to be in the long ago times when it first came out. In fact, this kind of became. This was the trailer before World of Warcraft even came out. So check it out.
4 years have passed since the mortal races banded together and stood united against the might of the Burning Legion. Though Azeroth was saved, the tenuous pact between the Horde and the Alliance has all but evaporated. The drums of war thunder once again.
Remember this? That big hit. I remember seeing this, and I think this trailer came out in Warcraft 3. I remember like going, "Oh, holy crap! This is awesome! We can play in the world of Warcraft." Although I have to say, I kind of like how it kind of already broke continuity because women are not druids in the Night Elf Society. Only men are. Look how unsoy this undead warlock is. It's pretty awesome. Look at this. He's like no soy whatsoever. Then we get the cool shamanistic Tauren. This is battle. And we're just seeing a bunch of guys battle each other. It's pretty awesome. This is the classic trailer. Welcome to the world of Warcraft. I'm surprised I didn't use that clip from, I think, the first or second game. Because that is something they say. Awesome. So there is a classic trailer. All right. So that's the first thing we're going to see. So the second thing is, here's the Burning Legion trailer that came out, like a few years later. So check this out. So we're going to see, this is what the first trailer of the first expansion to World of Warcraft. Check it out.
My son, a terrible darkness has returned to our world. As before, it seeks to annihilate everything that we hold dear. I go to face it, knowing I may not return.
They're coming! They're coming back!
Notice that he kind of went through a few lines of dialogue, and he had not one quip, not one turn of phrase, not one witticism or anything. He's not trying to sound profound in any way. He's just like, son, I'm going to war. I might not come back.
All my life I have lived by the sword. I've seen kingdoms burn and watched brave heroes die in vain. It's been difficult for me to trust after losing so much.
See how direct this dialogue is? Like, it's difficult for me to trust after losing so much. I've seen kingdoms topple. I've seen heroes betrayed and killed. So it's tough for me to trust after losing this much. And so I'm going off to war, and I'm probably going to die. It's just heartfelt and passionate. Like, this is a father talking to his son about how dark the world is getting sometimes. But not one moment of, let us stand together. We can be better. We could choose who we want to be. Witticism, quips, and all that. Not one has been dropped yet.
But from you, I have learned patience, tolerance, and faith. Open fire!
That's Sylvanas. You see, it's just action, and we don't really need to have them like quipping and having dialogue segments during the action. It's just action. There's no like Sylvanas, and then the camera turns to Sylvanas, and then she has like, you're getting too old for this, old man. We don't need that kind of nonsense. Just have action play out.
Anduin, I now believe, as you do, that peace is the noblest aspiration. But to preserve it, you must be willing to fight.
See, that was a good turn of phrase. Like, I agree, peace is the noblest cause, but in order to achieve it, we have to be willing to fight for it. See, it's not a turn of phrase, it's not a quip. It's just a realization he legitimately had. Like, if they were trying to be quippy, it'd be like, I agree that peace is the greatest thing, but in order to have peace, we must conduct war. You know, it'd be like that. But he didn't say it like that. It's like, peace is great. We got to fight for it. Very straightforward. Very, very, very human.
For Azeroth!
See, this is back then when they still could put together a pretty cool trailer and have some decent dialogue and characterization. Pretty cool stuff. Okay. Next thing I want to show you is we made the assertion earlier, right, that the fans of Avatar: The Last Airbender really could probably put together something that was better than what we're coming out with now, because writers and creators in Hollywood and the mainstream have no idea how humanity works anymore. So here is a trailer. Here is a short fan film of World of Warcraft made by a fan. And it was, I believe, done 4 weeks ago. Yeah, 4 weeks ago. So let's see how a fan work measures up to modern day WoW. Right, it's called Salvation, and it's about Kael'thas and his journey to salvation. These are pretty good opening because I know it's AI or whatever, but thing is, look at how it's being conducted. All right, this AI is really good because in terms of expression, because fans are allowed to produce things that are serviceable at the very least, to express how they feel about the IP that they like and to shape it the way they believe it should be done. It should look. I like to emphasize that in the three things that we've seen so far, and so far in this one as well, is that we don't really have any therapy scenes, right? The trailer, that one cinematic we saw the other day was just one big therapy scene between Thrall and Anduin. But here it's just like, here's them, plotting it out. They're getting ready for battle. They're working, they're studying, they're doing whatever they need to do to start getting ready for conflict. And there's not even this one, not even a drop of dialogue yet. And definitely no therapy scenes. I'm not even sure it's fair that Night Elf women can be druids. I feel like that's a man thing in their culture. On the same token, men aren't the warriors either. So I don't know why they kind of started mixing that up once we got out of Warcraft 3. But I really feel like the druid thing is a man thing. Oh, crap. Okay, hold on. This is just, what's it called? Dishonored. That's just Dishonored. That's Corvo. This is World of Warcraft. Fan cinematic. About loss. It's about trying to recover what was taken from you. Revenge. Whatever conflict it should be, it's there. Here's Kael'thas. With Lady Vaj, apparently.
He is here.
So, be it. I humbly pledge myself to your service.
I guess, is this where he's pledging himself to Illidan? Yep, this is it. Kael'thas making like pretty much a literal deal with the devil, or pretty close to it, in order to save his people, which worked. It definitely worked, but it did corrupt them a little bit. Anyway, chat. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and that was I wanted to do a comparison, a look and some contrast with all that stuff. How Warcraft used to be and should still be, but now has gone full blown soy. Like that scene with Kael'thas coming in there and pledging his loyalty and his people's loyalty to Illidan Stormrage. Very interesting. By the way, a corrupt Illidan Stormrage. So it's really interesting how that works. I know that is like a Warcraft 3 thing, but that's how it was. It was drama. It was like Shakespearean drama, tragedy, loss. Like this, what do you do as a lost prince who lost his entire kingdom to the undead, to Arthas, to the humans? Right? So not only did you lose your entire kingdom to the humans, you then had to be subjected to like a human command who just tossed you away, like you're riffraff, like you're disposable. So what do you do? What do you do? It's pretty cool stuff. But anyway, chat, that's how it kind of used to be at one point in time. That's how it was, and should still be. But anyway, chat, we're going to go ahead and end the stream for the day. Thank you much, everyone, for joining me today. Thank you much, every Best Chat member for being Best Chat. Have a wonderful rest of your day. So again, of course, next time.
On a cold winter morning, in the time before the light, in flames of death's eternal reign, we ride towards the fight. When the darkness has fallen down and the times are tough, alright, the